Hello, hello, happy Friday! Welcome to our Friday witchy live stream. We do this every single Friday where we ask a juicy question of the universe, we mix our energies together, we have a good time, we process, we philosophize, we talk about life, we laugh, we cry, we burp sometimes. I don't know, we just do our thing here, so welcome. Today we have a fun reading topic. This just sort of came to me, so 2 truths and a lie. So hopefully this helps to flesh certain things out or process certain things. So 2 truths and a lie. Maybe it's about the same person or situation. Maybe it's just going to be 2 truths and a lie overall in your life. I honestly have no idea. We're just going to have to see how this comes out. So, thank you guys so much for the super chats, Sunny Night Designs, and the Bayou. Thank you guys for starting us off. And there is a lot of happy birthdays to the Gemini crew, and people are just asking about my birthday. I am a May Gemini. I am a cusper, and I have an Aries moon. Somebody, I think you got those flipped, but thanks for paying attention to my energy, guys. Bunny butt, bunny butt. Oh, thank you guys. You're being so nice. Okay, so let's move in to the reading now. This is interesting because usually we have an anchor card, and an anchor card is not one of the choices that we have, for the piles that I'll put up here in a second. But hold on one second. Oh my gosh, how did you do that? How did you do that?
It was not that hard, babe.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm so surprised because literally a minute before we went live, I don't know if this is relevant to anybody, but Alex is yeah, we don't have an anchor card, but I got this book that's now up on the screen. Why does he do that? I haven't read it. It literally came in the mail yesterday, and we were talking about it just colloquially, and I opened it up. I was telling him I think that it's going to be interesting. People were talking about it. It's only $10 on Amazon right now if you guys wanted to get it. And I just opened it up and I read a passage. But you guys know that sometimes spirit has to teach me stuff before I can give a message. And so I just find myself being led right before I get ready to tap into a reading, whether it's a personal reading, a general reading. And I was like, holy shit, maybe this is, because I opened it up to a certain excerpt and I almost don't want to read the excerpt unless it's supposed to come out in a reading, because I don't necessarily get anchor card from the excerpt that I open up, but I put this string in it just to mark it in case it comes out in the reading. But yeah, why does he do that? I feel that is the anchoring energy here. But also it says inside the minds of angry and controlling men. So that could be the truth or that could be the lie. It could be that, that he's angry and controlling. It could be that he's not angry and controlling. Maybe that's the lie. Or it's, well, he's angry and controlling, so he does this. I don't know, but I feel that's somehow the anchor energy of this reading. And if you guys want that, I think we can grab a link. I don't know. I haven't read it, so I can't vouch for how good this book is. I've just heard people talk about it and I wanted to read it. So anyways, so that is the anchor energy. But it's crazy that Alex actually put that in the photo. He's so good with technology, and to me it's magic. It's whoa, that was so fast. But he's it's literally not that big of a deal. But I wasn't expecting that to be there. Anyways, that is the anchor energy. You just wanted to get a little vibe. Also, the redness of the cover, it's really intense, and the black the black border, and then the white letters. It's just bold, Okay, so that is the anchor energy. Moving right along to the pile selection. So these are the 3 piles that we have. Pile number 1 is the self. Pile number 2 is the fault line. And pile number 3 is the stone. And that's the way that it goes. So if you just want to know what number your pile is. But look at this. Isn't this funny? We were talking about this too. This is very colorful, and then these 2 are black and white. It's just, I don't know. I love spirit. I love just looking at, I don't know. I find that interesting. Anyway, so these are your choices. And if you haven't already chosen your pile, now is the time to do that. And even if you already have chosen your pile, this is the time where we break all of the rules of the internet. We are going to have a moment of silence. We're going to take a deep breath. And as they say, 1 full breath is a meditation. So we're just going to drop in together and just get comfortable, do whatever it is that you like to do in this space. Personally, I like to take 1 intentional giant breath. And then I just like to let my breathing peter out into normal and just kind of follow the energy with my mind to get me focused and just to drop my consciousness beneath anything that I may have been thinking about or worrying about or talking about before the reading. So here we go. Just turn your gaze to the inward space. And whenever you're ready, you can come back to the waking world. Come back to consciousness with us and be drawn into whatever pile or multiple piles you're drawn into. Sometimes the piles can paint a story for you, or it can tell you how your intuition is moving. I like to set the intention that the things that happen in this space are sacred and can carry some kind of a message. So,
would you mind explaining what the concept of the topic is? Because some people aren't as familiar with like the
two
whole
truths and a lie.
concept.
Oh, okay.
Right, especially people.
I guess maybe this is an American thing. Okay, okay. So, Two Truths and a Lie is a game that people play, that kids play. I don't know, like you can play it on road trips or something, where you try to trick people. It's kind of like Bullshit. If you've ever played the card game Bullshit. So you tell two truths and a lie, and then you try to figure out which one is the lie. So it's a game. So it's just, the title of this is like a play on that game, but we're going to look into two truths. I'm going to give you, or Spirit's going to give us two truths and a lie. And like to point that out. So it's a play on that game where, okay, so if we play two truths and a lie, I'll be like, okay, I am a Gemini. I played volleyball. I had a gerbil growing up. And then you would have to be like, well, which one is the lie? And you have to like think, and then you guess. And then if you're right, I don't know, like you get all the marbles or like whatever you get. So I did not have a gerbil growing up, in case anybody was trying to like, but usually like if you're trying, you can be like more smooth or more suave with it. And it just depends, like, are you playing with your family? Are you playing with strangers? So anyways, it's just a play on that game. Yeah, not in the reading. You don't have to guess the lie in the reading. Well, maybe. I don't know. Like, is that what Spirit's doing? No, my intention is two truths. I'm going to tell you two truths in a situation. I'm going to tell you one lie. I'm going to tell you.
I think also the concept is that this is all about kind of like the subject of this reading is identifying what is not true in a situation.
Yeah.
Amongst things that maybe are more true, right? So it's
yeah.
kind of like helping you navigate that a bit more. This isn't about like, oh, you gotta, play your cards and pick which one, which message is true for you and not. And
welcome to an anxiety tunnel. No, that's not. I just like, it was the play on the title, but you know what? I feel like I'm in that space where I've got to like explain the joke, which doesn't exactly feel cool. So maybe for some of you, that's a part of the reading. So, no, I'm going to tell you, you're not going to have to guess. I'm going to tell you two truths and a lie, in the situation. So the whole point of this is to try and like help you flesh out a situation and kind of narrow something down. Okay. Sounds fun.
Somebody says, can we do that again? I think they just want to play two truths and a lie.
So the next live stream will just be an entire game of two truths and a lie. We're gonna have to figure out how to hook people up here so that we can all like have our turn. Because part of it's like reading people's face, But the card game Bullshit is much the same way. Where like, but it's kind of like they're trying to tell you something about their cards. It's like, I don't know, poker and Go Fish, where I don't. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. Two truths and a lie. Welcome. You have your piles. Here we go. Pile number 1. Oh no, I don't have my I forgot to grab my compassion. So we have no compassion. Alex is grabbing it for me. Thank you so much. Okay. We're just going to compassion this space. I'm just going to compassion this little bunny butt.
Compassion will help a lot.
Excuse me. Compassion. Okay. He needed that. I just felt it. Okay. So moving in to pile number 1, which is the self. Okay. Okay, that was a part of the message. So that was an interpretive dance, and you're supposed to take whatever it is. I'm joking. Oh, I'm still trying to grab for an anchor card. All right, so two truths and a lie, Spirit. They said, don't even grab for the cards, like you already know. And I have been channeling for this one. So, okay, let me just like tap in. Okay. So pile number 1, two truths and a lie. Okay, I feel like you're dealing with a person, or maybe this is the self, right? But I feel like you're dealing with a person. I feel like this is a dude that he's very colorful in his personality. That's a truth. Like I don't think that he's like very angry or controlling. Like I think that he is actually genuinely like this like happy-go-lucky, it feels like almost bohemian, but like bright personality, very sociable kind of person, casual, easy come, easy go. Like that really genuinely is a part of this person's personality. Take it or leave it with the gender stuff. Maybe this is you, maybe this is this person, maybe this is a girl, maybe this is a guy. I don't know. But this person, right? Because what they are is like they're holding up a mirror, and I feel like it's distorted maybe something here about the self, about the way that they feel about you or something. But anyways, this person that like your significant other in this, like there's a mirror that you're supposed to look at. This person is genuine. Like they have a fun personality, they have a genuine personality. And the other truth here is like their heart. I feel like this person has a genuine heart. They have a lot of heart chakra energy, and it's like very much radiating outwards. So those are definitely the two truths. But something has, I feel like, gone on in the heart space. There is like, you know, a pearl is when like a bacteria gets into like a clam. There has been like some kind of bacteria. If this is a woman, I do feel like that bacteria has to do with a man that she's dealing with that kind of has this personality. And I do feel like there could be, well, let me not say that. It has to do with the man that he's dealing with or that she's dealing with, and possibly like other people that he's with. But if it's a guy, I also feel like the bacteria that's gotten in his heart and like maybe hardened his heart, made it hard to kind of assess the heart energy here, is also a man. And it is to do with like male culture and like what's expected of him, particularly in this like party environment or like a social environment or being well liked. The funny thing is that I feel like this guy is well liked anyways. He just feels like the pressure to conform. And I feel like it's like pressurized. There's some kind of pressure like on his heart. And it's like to conform or like be liked. But I feel like whoever this guy is, he's just liked anyway. And he is meant to be like a social leader and to kind of break out and to like lead with his heart space energy. But that is like the bacteria. And, you know, I heard somebody say this the other day where I thought it was an interesting way to describe like misogyny, but they were saying that a lot of men, like it's part of male culture, it's kind of like baked in, where they're homosexual mentally. Like even if they're not homosexual in like their schmexuality, if they're attracted to women or if they're bi, you know, they're attracted to both men and women, that it's actually very common in our culture for men to be like homoschmexually mentally attracted to other men, meaning that they seek the like approval and they try to please and they try to show off and they try to preen for other men more necessarily than a woman. So they have to show off and preen for a woman in a certain kind of way. And part of that way is to like not show heart chakra energy. And I feel like this guy is caught in between that, and that's his karmas. He's being like pulled on here of, and it does have to do with this social, but he is a genuine like heart-centered person, but he feels like to fit in with male culture, he has to not show that heart-centered space. And also I think that he's got to like sleep with a lot of women. And I think that on one level he does want to do that. It's like this, the selfish nature. And he doesn't want a relationship with those women necessarily in a romantic sense. And I think that part of the truth energy here is his personality is this way. Like he genuinely is like very fun and like there's a very heart-centered energy. So he cares about people like on a friendship level. It's just becomes karmic because he's having relationships. I just heard relations with people he should not be having relations with, and it is harmful. This is actually a karmic enemy to people, and that's where getting into the women's side of it, and this is where it's like the self. It confuses you about who you are in his eyes because he has this like fun, playful side, and again, he's like a very heart-centered person. You would feel that, but if you're a friend that he is sleeping with, you would mistake that for romantic interest. And it's not. It's not that he hates you, and it's not that he's a player in the sense of like he just hates women and he's just so cold and he's just, you know, so maneuvering. It's not that. There is a genuine like affection here, but I think both of you, there's kind of like a lust kind of a thing that both of you have indulged in. I feel like it has in a certain way ruined the friendship, and it's confused the mind here, which is why this is a karmic enemy, because this man I'm getting is at the Uttara Falguni stage of development. He might have Uttara Falguni in his chart. He might not, but that's the energy that I'm picking up on. Uttara Falguni is at the end of Leo and the beginning of Virgo. And I'm speaking of like a masculine energy, but even if this is a feminine, this is a guy who has built up a certain level of energy in Purva Falguni, which comes before, to make him very attractive to women. He has energy that makes him very charismatic, very attractive to women. And there is a spiritual test at Uttara Falguni, and it is a test of masculine energy because it's the masculine has to learn how to stay straight and how to stay steady as the dance of Maya goes on around. And it feels like there's a lot of dance of Maya because there's like a partying energy here. I'm hearing like club music and stuff where this guy's like going out at the club, but Maya is the dance of illusion, right? It is the illusion of the material world. Everything that exists here is Maya, and Maya is a feminine energy. It is a creative energy, and it rules over women. So a lot of women or feminine energy is just pulling on this guy, and he has to learn, that's the soul's test, is how to stay centered in it and how to stay focused, and because the feminine energy here pulls on a masculine energy and will drain it. So there is kind of a test here, and as Claire Nocti put it in one of her videos, Claire Nocti is an astrologer. I love her. I think she's the GOAT, but and she's so eloquent, and she's like very much like a media buff, and she makes astrology very modern. But she says the test comes in the form of a woman and her trust. And I feel like there are a lot of women around this man who confuse themselves for being like his one and only, like, oh, he's really interested in me because he really cares about me. This isn't just physical. It's more than that. There's love energy. Every woman that he involves with, there's love energy. It's friend energy. It's just he can't control himself. He can't follow through on love. So he actually ends up hurting women, but also this is why I'm saying this is a karmic enemy. And this is weird because he's in some karmic enemy energy where the whole thing with him is he's got to snap himself back into place, back into alignment, be a man. He needs to, and all of us have masculine and feminine energy. We all have to strengthen our masculine side to hold strong in the face of the dances of the illusion of Maya. So when he indulges in the quantity of the feminine energy, it makes them crazy. It makes them possessive of him when they shouldn't be. It makes them jealous over him when they shouldn't be. And that is very selfish on his behalf because he's feeding off of that energy when he should not be. He has become a karmic enemy to them because these women are souls in bodies and they are on a soul specific journey. I feel like their souls are actually working on building up their energies to be at the place that his is and like accumulating energy. And this feels like of a Venus realm. This feels like building up their own creativity, building up their own beauty or their own harmony, building up their own social skills. And they see that in him and it looks like the shortcut. And this is the danger and the lie of romantic love is I can attach myself to you, and that is a way that I have acquired those traits because you hold those traits. No, you're meant to build those traits as well. The soul's journey is to build yourself up more and more and more, to connect with deeper parts in yourself. So they have that calling, but then they get off track with him, and they have tasted a fruit in him because Falguni means fruit. So the Purva Falguni and the Uttara Falguni means fruit. He's built up some kind of fruit. This feels very sociable with this man. I don't know. The Falgunis do rule over wealth, but this is like a holistic wealth. It's like the fruits of somebody's good karma. That's where he's at in his soul journey, and he is experiencing the fruits of his good karmas. And because of that, that is a perfect time to present this kind of like spiritual test of everybody who kind of wants a piece. What do you want, and what are you supposed to be doing? Because and the test comes in the form of a woman and her trust. So he's got a soulmate energy here, and he's not that's part of the test is not to take from the feminine. The part of the spiritual test is to give and to be of service of the feminine, which is why Uttara Falguni, its matches Uttara Bhadrapada, which Uttara Bhadrapada is the soulmate in this. It's a Saturnian energy, and it's the second to last nakshatra. These are souls that are getting ready to right on out of here. They're very advanced, high vibrational beings, and the test of this Uttara Falguni energy is to only mate with the most auspicious of women. So not to mate with everyone, but a very high vibrational being, and to be of service. Now, to be of service of this kind of Uttara Bhadrapada energy, because that is the sea snake, and like I said, it's the height of karma. These are souls that have already passed their devil test. That's the hardest test. Spiritual test in the zodiac is being tempted by the devil. That's nothing compared. This guy's test of just being faithful and using his action. Karma means action. It's also the Mars energy, which rules over all men. He's got to overcome his own Mars. He's got to be in charge of his own Mars. Mars being his body, his sexual energy, his actions. He's got to be in charge of that to build what it is, to be intentional about what it is that he wants to build, and not to get sucked in by the illusions and the temptations of the Maya, which are fleeting and emptying. Because to fall prey to that drains him of his energy. He cannot advance. He's meant to keep the energy that he's built, to give it properly to the right woman, which is a karmic investment. He creates a karmic investment with her because he's done it for her. A soul will do it for him when he's at that stage of development. You understand? He needs that or he cannot pass go. So to engage in all the partying and whatever is to drain him. He won't have that in the next life. He won't be that same suave social. He's got to build it back up again. And then he's got to have the test again of what do I do with this? So that's what's going on. All of this is very genuine. This is very genuine. He's built this up. Like, he's built up this positive personality, this flash. He does have a very good heart for people, but it makes it hard to see straight because everybody is like, oh, well, he loves me and it's special because we have this like base of friendship. No. He's got that with everybody. There's a woman here. And my guess is that if you are one of the women that's been kind of like sucked into this and he's done wrong by you because he's supposed to be your friend. And I think, you should have a place, maybe if you're soulmates, there's like a whole host of women around where it's like, you should be his friend, you know? And so in that way, you're soulmates. And you should get to be around that way. But once you've crossed that line, now you're putting his family at risk and his woman at risk. And maybe you can't be around anymore. So he's let you down in terms of actually being able to have your soulmate connection, because he should push you to the side and not have you around his family. But that's right and proper action. And that would be a remedial action. He's got to repair. He's got to repair the damage. And then that's going to, like, you know, it sucks. That's why he's got to stay in a straight line in the form of a woman in her trust, because also he breaks his friend's trust by, because he's not interested in them in a romantic way. There's love there. That's friendship love. And there's sexual attraction. And it literally is just to like genitalia. I'm so sorry if that sucks, but it's just, he has that selfish kind of drive. He doesn't want to hurt people, which is why he maintains this kind of friendshipy stance. And it all feels like very bar energy. And there is something here because I'm seeing, from Jersey Shore, like that's the kind of thing where it's like it's bar energy and it's like partying energy, but all of that's the illusion of Maya, right? You're indulging in certain things. It's scrambling the truth. It makes things very sensual and very kind of clouded and confusing. So does the music. Music can like put you in altered states, you know. So does the darkness and the flashing lights. This is altered state kind of a thing. But I'm seeing in there like Vinny and Snooki. So if you don't know Jersey Shore, let me explain this to you. And actually, because they're trying to speak like to me, they're giving me things. Jersey Shore for me is weirdly like nostalgic, but it also feels like home. I come from an Italian American family. It's kind of dramatic like that and very loud. Like everybody has this kind of like loud, you know, energy. And I grew up on a lake in like a party cove. So I would always hear people partying, like even as a kid when I was trying to go to sleep. And so for some reason, I'll put Jersey Shore on sometimes, like when I want to go to sleep. So it's like weirdly comforting. So that could also be a thing as well, because there's this like the family, you know, like they're all the family, but then there's this weird, like people are still like hooking up with their friends, but it's because they get in these like weird altered states. But anyways, like Vinny and Snooki were like, did the thing together. And you could tell that Snooki was more into it than Vinny was. And Vinny in season 3 really changed. He kind of became a douche, and it was like right after he got his ears pierced. So there could have been something here with this guy that like he changed and he became a douche. You know, he's a nice guy. Everybody talked about how Vinny was such a nice guy, but then he gets his ears pierced and he becomes a total D-bag. So I feel like that's this person, to where even in the show, Paulie and the Situation, who are like the biggest players there are, they're the ones saying like, yo, something's wrong with you. Like you've changed. And like the way he's treating Snooki, even they're the ones saying like, the Situation said something like, he dogged Snooki out in front of everybody. It wasn't nice, you know, because he was trying to sleep with her when the women that he brought home that he wanted to be with, they left. And then that's when he always wants Snooki. He was always using her as like a backup plan, even though they were friends. And she says, you know, Snooki is saying like, whenever I want him, like I want us to cuddle when we're sober. So there could be something here like, when this person's sober, they don't want it. And that's because it's not genuine. It's not, they like you as a friend and they have these like urges that especially come out when they're like drinking or something, or when what they really want isn't available. And that's a very selfish thing. And that's karmically, they have to learn how to control themselves, the self. And they're not able to do that. So they hurt the people that they love. They hurt the people that they love on a friendship level. But there's a woman here. And for some of you, you might be this woman. And I wouldn't flatter myself in thinking that you are this woman, because there's a lot of women around, and women that he does actually love, like on a friendship level. He doesn't, you know, want to hurt them. And there is like also a physical attraction, but I'm literally seeing the most graphic shit in my mind. Like I'm seeing a zoom in on a lady's lower. Just that, like, it just is that. And like playing around with that. But there is a woman here, and this is the woman that is his spiritual test, that is his actual soulmate. But he's a karmic to her too now, because he's in some karmic energy. And the only way to clarify this is action. Karma is action. So all of this kind of comes back to that, because this guy's actions have been to mask. And it's because there's that masculine influence here that he's trying to appease, this like masculine culture. There could be like an actual person or multiple people that he feels like are players, and because I used the example of Vinny was like always kind of following after Polly in the situation, because Vinny was going to be like a lawyer and stuff. He could have gone down like an entirely different path in life. Now he's like a stripper and like, you know, following after like Polly in the situation, and Polly like and him had like a wedding, like a joke wedding, you know what I'm saying? It's like but there's somebody here that he's like chasing after, like wanting their approval. He wants the approval of men, and he wants women schmegsually. And actually, I think what he really wants is a connection with a woman, a particular woman in particular. But his actions are clouding that, because he's hooking up with other people and he's trying to. That's what I'm getting with this like black shadow energy, because you can't see any of like the features or anything. So it could be that this guy just didn't show up. Like he didn't show up for her, like, or he didn't show up for you, or like maybe he's like ghosting or whatever. And it makes you confused in your mind, because you're like, no, I feel that there's like heart-centered energy here. And that confuses things. And karmically, people have to be like, I don't know what's going on. So all of his friends that he's like sleeping with, these people that he has like one night stands with or whatever, they're like, well, I'm confused because I feel heart-centered energy from you, but then you just dip out. Yeah, probably when he's sober, probably when like his real option comes back around, because it's just not that way. And he has disrespected you. He has disregarded your feelings. He has not lived up to his karmic potential, and he has made it unsafe for you emotionally. And he's also made it unsafe for like his woman or like his family. And that is all on him. He has to learn how to control his lower natures and his actions. But it's also confused his partner here. And this partner is not a friend that he's sleeping with. This is a woman that he's pursuing seriously. Like either they have dated and he probably cheated in this kind of a fashion, and that would have really confused her. His actions confuse people, and he needs to understand that. But so it's either that, or she saw, like, there's such a connective energy here. And my guess is if you're one of these little friend people on either side, because there may be a reflection between these two where they both have like maybe this, like, that's real, like this casual fun kind of energy, this heart-centered energy. But yeah, my guess is that these people around these two know that these two have this connective tissue. I really don't buy it. The only thing that I can think is if people don't know that she's there, because he's already run her off. He's already hurt her with his actions, but he always wants her. Like he always thinks about her in his mind. He does set her apart, and maybe doesn't, and that might be part of the spiritual test. It comes in the form of a woman in her trust. He's not to ding her trust. So he could be keeping himself away from her because he doesn't want to hurt her. And because I think it does put him in this like washing machine, this like push-pull energy of, I gotta like hang out with the boys, impress the boys. And the way he feels that is like to ghost or to be non-emotional, whatever. But yeah, so it's uncomfortable, I think, for him to be around her until he has cleared his own karma, dealt with his karmic path. Those men are karmic, but maybe in the same way that he is. Their actions, because all men are ruled over by Mars. So what their Mars is doing has like heavy bearing here on their karmic status, because they do karmic things to their soulmates. And a soulmate energy to me is somebody that God has paired you together with, because God made you, God knows you. And so when you start to do your spiritual work and you see the truth of a situation, you start to heal. A soulmate is a person that you actually get closer to when you actually do that. But there's people here that I think actually are in just a state of denial where this guy is concerned. Like they know that if you've seen him around this lady, you would view her as some kind of competition. You would just know. And the karmic lesson for you is not to compete. If you're one of these women, don't compete, because there's no winning here, because God made these two for each other, and God made these two to go on the path together. And that's the energy that you're up against. And that's a fool's errand. And again, this guy clouds you in regards of your own soul journey. You're supposed to be building this up. You've had a taste of a fruit that you should not have had a taste of because you weren't ready yet. Your soul's not there yet. You should be an equal match to it when you have that taste of that fruit, and you're not yet. And that's okay, because we are all working on different things. And so he's further along working on his charisma, his sociability, his creativity than the souls that he chooses to fuck with in this like kind of way. And he thinks like, oh, well, you get what you want because you clearly want me, or attracted to me in a lustful fashion. I get what I want because I want that like experience. We keep things smooth between us because we're friends. Not on a soul level. On a soul level, he's confused them. He's made them jealous and possessive. They are taking swipes at his lady over here, or it's like evil eye, or they're jealous and possessive, and they shouldn't be over him. And he's given them a reason to be, and he should not have. And that's the karma that's like going on, because it's distracted these souls from what they're supposed to do. If they'd never had that fruit, and part of the fruit is like his attention or like the hopefulness, then they would have stayed focused on something. They wouldn't have that distraction. They would have stayed focused on something that they're working on, where it would have built up in them. And then they're going to meet their actual person, somebody that That is their, and that's the fruit. They're supposed to build up to it. So it's cut it off, actually. This guy's cut it off, and he's confused them, and now they're kind of all dragging behind him for like scraps, and he's flattered by that. And this is deeply karmically fucked up, what's going on here. Does this sound like what a friend would do? No, it's because he's not your friend. He should be your friend. You should be his friend. But y'all can't like keep it there. That's for some. But there is a woman here where she is actually like his soulmate. And I think that she's been confused, had to take some kind of clarifying action of like, she's not with him because all these other girlies are around and because his actions are confusing her because he's sleeping with other people that he should be able to maintain a friendship with. This is also misogyny is what I'm hearing, because this guy does have like a friendship love, but he just treats women as objects. It's just he's nice when he does it. But it's still, he doesn't look at women as people, and he's not being fair to the women around him, and he's just being deeply selfish because he can. So that's his karma that he has to work out. And the karma that he faces is that his actions are confusing the women around him. And it's creating possessiveness in women. And then he's like, oh, well, you must really like me. And then it's actually repelling the woman that is his soulmate. And that would confuse her. And with all the women, I'm seeing a compass that can't find its true north. Like he's confusing their intuitions, which is a woman's greatest ally. And he's also putting women in bars, is what I'm getting, which might be like a metaphor for change. But this is a party guy. So there's friend women that kind of know. This is what I'm saying. Y'all in denial. There's some group here that's like in denial. This man only wants you when he's not sober. When the woman that he really wants is like not interested in him. And it's like there's a second option here. So he's putting women in like the bar scene, which women are more in danger in. This is a karmic enemy, because women will go to the bar thinking like, oh, maybe tonight's my chance because he's drunk, and like, you know, we always hook up that way. Subconsciously, even that's what like a lot of women are thinking. It puts them in danger because he's misusing them, first of all, and they're supposed to be doing something else with their time and energy. But also his soulmate, they're soulmates in the light of day, so he should not be seeing her like at the bar or have to make that connection. It's not that they should never go to a bar together or anything. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying like he needs to, in the light of day, he is drawn to her when he's sober. His actions, karma's action, man is action. Right? So his actions need to be, I move towards you in the daylight, and I move towards you at night. And so we don't, there could be something karmic here where she did run into him in the bar, but it's because he's not where he's supposed to be, which is with her. Came in the form of a woman in her trust. Yeah. And so she doesn't know who to trust. And now she's in a bar, and that's dangerous. He's put her in harm's way instead of protecting her with his actions. And he did that by confusing things. And he did that because it's selfishly, he thought that was the thing to do, of like to keep him hidden, to keep the fact that he was sleeping with these other women hidden, and to keep the fact that he has emotions for this one hidden. He's like muddying up the actions. And so she's like, I don't know where to go. And she's trying to date other people or something. Maybe she's at the bar. Like, she doesn't know. It's confusing every woman's intuition here because they feel that they love him. But he can't, he's not being, he's not being the spoke in the middle of the wheel that everything turns around like he's supposed to be. And so this is a soul that's like very much learning how to do that. So that's why he does that, is because, yeah, he is a heart-centered guy. But I think because he's also had women throw themselves at him a lot, and this is like just on a friendship kind of level, because he's built up whatever this energy is, he hasn't even gotten used to pursuing the one that he actually wants. And I do think that he's going to have to do that. He's going to have to be a man, engage with those man things, and actually go like pursue the woman that he wants. Because he's like not shown up. But he does have a heart for everybody here. It's just in different ways. Friendship love is different than a romantic love. And because there's sex involved over here with these friends, they're separate over here with the friends. We're friends in the light of day. I don't want to be your boyfriend. Maybe I've made that clear. But then when I get drunk, we sleep together. Or when there's not another option around, we sleep together. And, you know, Snooki, to her credit, says, she sees all of that. And she says, you're making me look stupid. You make me feel like I'm second best. And she walks away from him. And that's also the karmic test here, is to walk away. If you're not being treated well, you pull yourself away, because he's not the prize and he's not the end all be all, especially behaving like this. And then allowing him in his actions to go pursue the things that he actually, and that's clarifying, and that's a win for everybody. So that's the two truths and a lie. He is like this nice personality. He does, like, that's genuinely his personality. It's not a front in any way to like get laid. It genuinely is like who he is. But this is the kind of, he is a liar. And this is a lie that is, because there's two truths in it, is what I want to say. The truth of his personality and the truth of his heart. This is one of the hardest karmic enemies actually to overcome. To realize this is a karmic enemy because he should be your friend and he's not doing that. He knows that he can sleep with you. And so he's just being selfish. to realize that that's a karmic enemy. It's pulling you away from your actual path, your actual soulmate, the things that you're supposed to actually be doing in your time to build up your own energies here. And he's kind of overwhelming you. It kind of feels like with a lot of people. That's the majority experience here. Is there's a lot of people that are possessive and jealous over this man and feel like he's theirs because they have a genuine friendship. Not with this guy. He is friends with a lot of people. But he has that with a lot of people. That's the common energy here. But the feelings and the love, it's platonic, and they are genuinely friends, and then y'all are sleeping together. But it follows this, like, it's very selfish and very lust driven. And, you know, I was also hearing a woman say, it's so painful to be lusted after by a man. And when you get old enough and you realize that that's what it is with most men, it's just they lust after you. They don't actually love you. That is the most painful thing, because it makes you feel like you're just a body. It makes you feel like they don't really want anything from you. And it's confusing because this guy wants to be friends. He's delusional because he wants to be friends and he wants to sleep with you when he wants to sleep with you and be selfish. And then he wants to turn around and call these people crazy for wanting more. But he's giving them mixed signals. And he's doing it and he's confusing that in order to be able to keep doing it, in order to be able to keep having access. So it's not necessarily that he's like mean, but he is just incredibly selfish and strategic. And what he does is he blurs the lines. He confuses the lines. And I'm hearing that song Blurred Lines, which is kind of a bit of like, not a great song. But I feel like for the soulmate energy, for his soulmate, there could be something similar. I don't think that she's indulging, like, this guy's like a player, you know, but she has needs too. And she has like a self-expression too. So if she's not with who she's supposed to be with, she's confused. And it could be that there's a guy here too, where maybe she got drunk and slept with him or something because she's confused and she's genuine. She's got a heart. Maybe they're friends, you know, and she's all confused. Everybody here is confused because this man can't clean up his own act and he's not clear. And because the masculine path is the straight and narrow that you hear about in religions, because a lot of religions, like, they're built around men, you know, like for their path, because men are like a lot more immoral than us, in my opinion. That was my opinion. But they are very selfish and they need those things more so than women. That's just my experience, where they need to be told, like, thou shalt not commit adultery, you know, thou shalt not kill. Like, it's not really women who need to be like told that, in my opinion. Not that there are not some out there, okay? Like, there are outliers, but the numbers don't lie, right? Like, there are just the amount of men that commit violent crime versus women, it's like very, very different. The energy is just different. Even males, the research around like male sociopaths and psychopaths and females, most of the men like kind of end up caught, because the women are more, they have to come up through the societal expectations of women. That's neither here nor there. So anyways, yeah, that's why he does that. It's because he's afraid to show up to his own life and like live a heart-centered life. And his heart should guide his actions. His heart should guide his body. His body should be where his heart is, which is being a heart-centered person, having female friends. He's meant to be a leader in this, which he doesn't understand. He doesn't know that. He's like, yeah, these guys aren't going to like me. Yes, they will. This is a very likable person. All the guys, he has yet to learn that all the guys that are behaving this way, including himself, are deeply insecure. And they're making up for where they feel inadequate and where they feel insecure. And they feel like very vulnerable, actually. This guy feels very vulnerable around his heart space because he thinks that the woman that he loves is going to reject him. And the thing is, she will, because of his actions. The woman that is his soulmate, she's like, I'm confused. Why are you sleeping with all of your friends? It's giving gross. And also this guy might not wrap it up, kind of a thing. Like, it's giving gross. It's giving like unhygienic, and it's giving sloppy, and just, this is a guy that's not in control of himself. Basically, that's what it is. He's not in control of himself. There may be addictions here, addictions to partying, addictions to attention, addictions to schmegs, really. But I think it's even like meaningless schmegs with like friends, you know, and to him, he hides behind that, because he's like, well, we're friends. I'm not just using you. No, he's using you and you're his friend. It's both. And he does that to kind of blur the lines for him, his own self as well. He doesn't want to have to admit that he is confusing people, which is hurting people. And he doesn't want to have to admit that because he's very much benefiting. He's siphoning energy from the feminine. And that is the test of Uttara Falguni, not to take from women, which ends up draining you, but instead to give to women. And that is the test of Uttara Falguni. They learn that you get everything by giving everything. And a lot of men struggle with that because it's Mars. Mars is very selfish. And I think he is following some kind of male leader here. I just heard following the leader, which is a reference to Peter Pan And so he's following somebody that's like a Peter Pan and somebody who is Mars. Mars is not a leader among men. The sun is a leader among men. Mars is called the rudimentary sun. So he's meant to be that, actually. He's meant to be Jupiter, I think, or like the sun. He's meant to be a healthier, higher vibrational expression, and the other men will follow him. He's not supposed to follow this other guy. He's meant to be a rival to this other guy. Not in I'm going to fight you, but he's a soulmate, I think, to that other guy. But he's a soulmate only when he locks horns with him. And I don't mean that in an aggressive way, but just being like, it's not cool. Because this guy's seen as cool. He doesn't realize it. Maybe this is like ugly duckling syndrome for a guy. But it's like, he's cool and he needs to be like, it's literally not cool that you sleep with your friends. You know, women are humans too. You know, she cries at night, probably. Because you've confused her. You know that there's a guy out there for her that she should probably be with. And she's confused about that. And she's probably treating him poorly because of what you've done. You see that? Like, it's somebody that needs to be able to lead these men out of the depths of hell. And like, he's kind of meant to do that, but he's got to get his heart on straight, and his actions need to be in alignment with his heart. But masculine culture has told him that he shouldn't have emotions. And so that's where he gets like, he's stuck there. And I actually feel like a lot of women are his soulmates and a lot of men are his karmics right now, because the men are saying stuff like, be an asshole, have no feelings. Where he's got feelings for these women, but he needs to honor what his feelings are, which they are platonic and sexual at the same time. Like, but it's just because he wants to stick himself into certain holes. There's a woman here though that he loves. I actually think it's rare for this man to like want to commit, because he doesn't have to, and it's scary for him because now his heart is like vulnerable and it's something different, and it feels like that. And if you are around these two, which you might not be because he may have run her off, but if you are around these two, it's palpable. This is the kind of thing where this is Pauly D and JWoww. You know how the whole world like wants them to get together, and they kind of like, but they don't. And you know, recently in the recent episodes, this was like before Nikki, because Pauly is with Nikki now. But there was this one night. What?
It's Jersey Shore hour.
It's Jersey Shore hour. Welcome. But they were both single, Pauly and JWoww, and Pauly was just making it very well known that like he wanted JWoww. He thinks very highly of her. And everybody was saying like, I've never seen Pauly like this. I've never seen Pauly be the one that like wants to go after the girl. Then JWoww tells the story about like after her divorce, she tried to like reopen that chapter, but he closed the door in her face. None of this sounds like Pauly, because, you know, and he's like, well, I don't know if she's actually really single. And she's like, no, I'm single. And he's like, yeah, but you just broke up with him a couple of days ago. But Pauly is the guy that's like, I don't care if you have a boyfriend. He said that on camera. It's like one of the most iconic things that he said is like, I don't care, I'll be that other guy. And all the people are like, what? Like, you're getting the green light. This doesn't make sense. The whole, like, everybody else is like so confused. They're like, what? You're getting the green light. It's because there's feelings there. There's feelings there. And he says that to her over and over again. He's like, I respect you. I would never put you in a compromising position. Like, he's keeping saying that to her. But he's making it very clear, like, all of the vivid things that like he wants to do to her. He's making that very clear to her. He's making it very clear to everybody else, but he still holds himself back. And all throughout their lives, like they almost hooked up the first like night or something in the house. They didn't. And then she was always in a relationship. It's like they always kind of, and that's what he says. He's like, we're always attracted to each other, but we never really go in for it, because they do actually have a friendship love. So clock that, because they both kind of say that like we actually do have this friendship love, and it does feel like this is really. And JWoww says there needs to be something of substance here. Because of that, there needs to be something of substance here. And he's got to show me that he's willing to put in that work to make this of something of substance. And she also says she doesn't want to be one of those girls that just likes him for his success and just likes him for superficial things. But she doesn't want to be treated like one of those girls either. So he's got to lead the way. And which is like that masculine path. He's got to lead the way, and he's got to be like the genuine like head of household kind of thing, which isn't the masculine macho. I'm just the head of the house because like I want to be. It's like, no, you should know your child's pediatrician. You should know, you know, everything that goes on in the house. You should be able to do it better than anybody else if you're going to be the head of the house, right? That's what he needs. He needs to be that then. And he kind of knows it with JWoww is what it feels like, and he kind of like is afraid of it and stays away from it, and that's what it feels like is going on between these two. He's not going to jump into bed with her because she's the one. That's just my opinion. That's just my personal opinion. But yeah, so that's all like the two truths and the lie. But all of this is like revealing something here about the self. And because I think that what he's reflected back to his soulmate is that she's not worth it, and she's not special, and that she's not attractive, because he's giving everything that he should be focused on her specifically very intensely. He's diffusing it out to like everybody else. And then he's confusing these other people as to the way he feels about them, because he's doing things with them that he should not be doing with them. And it's preventing them from being on their own path. Karmic enemy. See this? If you're one of those people, this is your karmic enemy. He should be your friend, your platonic friend, when he's in that energy and when boundaries are being held and y'all aren't indulging in like a selfish lower nature. That's when you guys are soulmates. But not when not if there's sex involved. If that's karmic. You can only have karmic sex with this guy if you're like one of the friends, because he's being selfish and he doesn't intend to be with you romantically. He does not want a commitment, and there's somebody else here that he wants romantically. And he just, women like him. That's what I'm getting. Like, this is a guy that just like women like him. They like his personality. They feel like they're safe, and they are. This is not a guy who's going to do a violent crime on you. But he will break your heart in this more insidious way. And he's not looking at it as being that because he's got men telling him one thing about who he should be. He's actually meant to break free from that and be a leader and lead people back to the light. That's his karmas. But to indulge with all these other women, he's draining himself of that. He'll have to restart. He'll have to rebuild it. And then he'll re-go through that testing. And he'll get tired of doing that as a soul. But if he honors this woman and her trust, and his actions are protective, he will boss up into the sun energy. He keeps all the energy that he's built. He moves on. He progresses in his soul journey. In his soul's journey. But what he gifts to Uttara Bhadrapada, which is the soulmate of that, is Uttara Bhadrapada has like the last of their karmas that they are, because it's the height of Saturn. They're purging the last of their karmas. Then they enter Revati, and then they ascend. And that might sound easy, like, oh, they only have a few karmas left. Think about what karmas Uttara Bhadrapada might have left, okay? They're probably left over for a reason. So he and that's why Uttara Bhadrapada is a sea snake. They're often submerged underwater. They like to spend a lot of time alone because they're processing a lot behind the scenes. They have to come back up to deal with earthy stuff. He's taking care of the earthy stuff if he's in his right mind. And that's where Uttara Falguni, they typically have a lot of wealth, all of the fruits, and that he shares with Uttara Bhadrapada. So that Uttara Bhadrapada can process spiritually, he sets himself up for that same treatment when he's at that place in his spiritual journey. Where karmically, it's like I said, a karmic advancement. It's kind of like paying into Social Security so that when you retire, that money comes back to you. That's what he's doing as a soul, or he should be doing. Or he's just spending it when he's young. You see what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to set yourself up for bullshit when you're actually like pressing in the spiritual side of things. Because and that's being of service to the feminine. So... yeah, Christina said, yeah, I know this isn't mine because my karmic was violent. Yeah, so that's it. 2 truths and a lie. The 2 truths are his personality is actually a truth. He takes advantage of it. It does kind of become blinding. And his heart is genuine. But for a lot of people, it's platonically genuine. He does like you. He likes your personality. He does care about you. But he doesn't care about you enough because then he'll sleep with you. But he doesn't, in a way, like, this is what I always think of, because naturally, if we didn't have modern medicine, 1 in 5 women die in childbirth, which means, so I just take it like, oh, we play Russian roulette with my life over here. He doesn't care if you live or die. Like, I always think about like this, there's a scene in Bridgerton where the mom is giving birth after her husband died. He got stung by a bee and he died, and this was like her 7th kid or whatever. It comes out with like complications. The doctor has to ask her son, am I saving the mother or am I saving the child? Which, don't get me started on that. The mother hears that. She's crying and she says, it could have only been him. She's talking about her husband. I would not be in this situation for anybody but him because he loved me, right? So she is risking her life to bring his children in the world because he loves me and he would have protected me. And that's why I'm in this situation to begin with. And this is cruel and unusual that now that decision is in somebody else's hands. And that's what I'm saying, this incredible selfishness. The masculine energy is the death principle, which is why they have to be disciplined. And he's not. So don't be flattered that a man will just sleep with you, because what it is he's playing Russian roulette with his life. It's the deepest form of uncaring that you can have. When 1 in 5 women naturally, without intervention, can die. That's not considering complications, being maimed. So no, he doesn't like you. This is a deep form of unselfishness. He has to commit himself to you if he's going to partake of that. It's absolutely serious. But the men are like, oh no, it's not. It's frivolous. Be frivolous with it. Be frivolous with women's lives. Dick move. Dick move. I don't care what his personality is, how smiley he is. It's an asshole. It's an asshole. So anyways, that's pile number 1. Do not sleep with your friends. Thank you, Dolores. That is gold. Your friends don't sleep with you. There you go. You're welcome. That'll save you a lot of headaches. Your friends do not sleep with you. And if your friend is sleeping with you, it's just, they're not your friend. It's confusing you. It's confusing you. Friends don't sleep with each other. That's something else. All right. It's not flattering for this kind of guy to be in love with you either. Receiving evil eye from 5 of his friends is horrible. Yes, it's horrible. And that's another thing. Thank you for pointing that out, because what he's doing is he's creating karmic enemies and throwing them at his woman. That's what he's doing, because all these women are possessive and jealous over him. And he benefits. Only he benefits. Not his children, not his woman, not anything good in this world benefits. Just simply him. His wiener for a few minutes at a time, and his ego. That's literally it. And he's making all these women crazy and throwing them at each other. But he doesn't need to be creating karmic enemies to throw at his wife's head. He doesn't need to be doing that. But yet he is. Beth, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you. You're welcome. That part. Yeah, and it's important to just like see this for what it is and truly walk away. And that is action, karmic action. Because this guy's karmic. Whether or not he's your soulmate, he's karmic to everyone. All the women that are actually his soulmates in this energy. And so you've got to walk away from it. And then his action needs to repair. And his action, he needs his heart. He should be where his heart is. There you go. All right. I love you. Yay. And by the way, I think there's also some kind of lesson here in Venus energy, because Venus is known as like fierce, being fierce. Okay, so if this is a woman that we were just talking about, like that bright, beautiful personality is there, but Venus is an energy known as being fierce, because Venus is actually, which rules over all women, is tucked away in the fire signs. It's entirely engulfed in fire. It's a fiery energy, and fierce and malevolent are very different things. And so I think some of you, in dealing with this guy, it has connected you with your ferocity, or it's meant to. Venus makes decisions. Venus has conversations that are possibly fierce, but makes decisions on their values. And you are the valuable thing here. Even if this guy is like using you in that way, you know, like you are the valuable thing. And so I feel like it's connected you with your ferocity. Also, is this other woman fierce? If you've seen these two together, she doesn't put up with his shit. So it's because she is Venus. And I think some of you could have chased behind this man like, well, I'm not like her. I'm not fierce. Like, you have access to me whenever you want. Like, it's not a compliment. And it's okay to like actually be fierce, because this is not a complimentary energy. It's not flattering. It's also not safe. And it's not loving. It's not actually loving. So we got to kind of straighten it out. That's the karma that I feel like this guy has taught you. And again, it'll connect you with your ferocity and being able to walk away from him. And then he will have to rebuild the relationships with his actual soulmate with his action. And that's his karma. Karma means action. He needs to take right and proper action, which is to heal her, protect her, love her, you know? Aubrey, thank you so much for the super chat. Number 1 fan. Okay, that was pile number 1. So pile number 2 is next. That's the fault line, but I'll put this up there in case anybody is just joining us. These are your options. Pile number 1 was a self. We just did that. And then we're going to move on to piles number 2 and 3, the fault line and the stone. And I'm going to take a drink and compassion. I'm the Venus ruled woman in this situation. Because if you are the actual soulmate, he could have confused you, because he would have been like, well, so-and-so like just does whatever I want. That's what he's trying to show you. He's trying to bring you under control. Don't be under this man's control. He's an absolute lunatic. Like, he needs to be disciplined. And that's when I feel like you'll naturally submit. But submission is like not a permanent state, because the moment, like if this guy goes wrong and you need to separate, then you need to be able to separate, you know? It's not about being like a doormat. And that's what I think he's trying to use these other women towards his soulmate too, to be like, see how they just do whatever I want. And this is like Venus over here. That's like, it's how embarrassing. How embarrassing for them. It's giving pathetic. It's giving desperate. Like, lots of compassion. And you know what? Like, we all go through phases where sometimes, let's be real, sometimes you are desperate. Sometimes each one of us has like a low point where we don't feel our best. And then you have to like wake up and you're like, who the fuck am I? Like, you know, wait a second. You have to dust yourself off, right? From these dusty, crusty men. Like, and it's not who you are as a person. And you have to remember who you are and then boss up into your Venus energy, right? And we're all that way. We're all that way. Pick me vibes. Yeah. Thank you. I'm all good now. Yes. And self-love and this guy will teach you self-love and self-respect. Definitely. Definitely. And stop chasing his love and his respect. And I feel like there's a lie in that too. Like, oh, well, you know, I don't like fierce women. This is a guy who could have been like, I only like submissive women. And Venus is like, And he needs to learn how to bring out the nice that he likes. He likes her to be Venus and fun and harmonious with him. But he needs to realize that his actions determine how she treats him. She matches energy, is what I'm getting. This Venus over here will match his energy. Okay. I think this is the key to me wrapping up the piles, because I always struggle to like wrap them up. But if we're still kind of talking about pile number 1 whilst we're like moving into pile 2, maybe this is like the key for me. I don't submit, but I co-create. Bombastic side eye. Hecate is protecting me from him for sure. Because Hecate would be unearthing this, you know? Like unearthing the lie to protect you from this man. This can be a harmful energy from a man. But he's sweet in his personality, I guess. It's just very superficial because he doesn't do what's right and good. Oh my gosh. I can't even say that. Oh, the chat is popping off. Okay. Lilith energy. Yeah. Okay. So pile number 2, the fault line. That is where we're going. Pile 2. Okay. Interesting. I'm going to draw some cards out here. I'm hearing bunny butt, bunny, bunny, bunny butt. So there could be some messages from this one in the general messages. We haven't obviously done those yet, but we will later. The bunny butt is this, and it's pile number 4. And it usually is off the chain. Okay. Oh my gosh. Oh no. Okay. Sometimes these Ziploc bags give out, and like when I try to open them, then they lock again. And I thought that's what happened, but it wasn't. Okay, so it could be like, I thought that's what happened, but it wasn't, because that's what happened in the past, you know? Okay, so anyways, fault line, pile number 2. Okay, we got optimism, staying positive about the future against hard odds. Projection, assigning your own unacceptable feelings or qualities onto others. And that's like relevant because the fault line. Oh, well, it's your fault. But then somebody here could be projecting by assigning their own unacceptable feelings or qualities onto someone else to make it their fault because they don't want to like look at themselves. That could be going on here. Meaning or purpose, meaningful goal. Gives a person a sense of focus and fulfillment, helps them recover in the face of failure or obstacle. Okay, hold on here. Social supports, provides assistance physically, mentally, emotionally, prioritize relationships during times of confusion, stress, loss, or need. And love and acceptance, core need, capacity to live with an open heart, difficulty integrating heart and sexuality, self-esteem based on looks and popularity. You can sometimes feel hurt, rejected, physically flawed. And this can cause someone to reject first because they're so sure that they're going to be rejected, to feel like they've got to be perfect or to try and seek perfection in like a partner or a job or in some facet of their life, and doesn't allow for mistakes. Everything has to be seamless. I'm kind of getting that somebody has done something. Okay. I feel like somebody here, this could be you or somebody else, has actually done something wrong, and it's dried something out here because this is looking like really dry and like crusty here, and it's like caused a division and it's caused a scar. And I just had some scara. Yeah, this is like a deep spiritual scar that keeps kind of like playing out in past lifetimes, and I feel like it's being healed in this lifetime, or it's meant to be. But the healing path is what's confusing to someone, and they don't understand maybe how we were talking about Venus in like the connector piece, how to read Venus's energy. So it's like they've done something that put their soulmate at a distance, and that soulmate is that fierce energy. It's not a malevolent energy. It's fierce. There's a difference. It's like very fiery. And somebody here has to learn how, like what I was saying, how to like mend this gap, how to repair this gap, because there has been wrong things done that first and foremost need to be taken accountability for. And I'm hearing you can't solve a problem. There might be an addiction issue here because the first step in clearing out an addiction is admitting you have one. So the first step in solving a problem here is admitting that there is one. But I'm kind of getting that that's connecting with the projection energy, because it's like assigning your own acceptable feelings or qualities onto others. Well, you have to admit that these are your qualities and feelings, and that it might be too much for you to admit that you're at fault. It's too hard for you to look at that in yourself, because it means I'm hearing the word self-image. You'd have to update your own self-image to something that is more akin to reality, but it's not keeping you in this fantasy realm of like, well, I'm being the good person. I always do things right. But it has that Neptunian quality of making something from something that left a scar here seem better than it actually was. What it was horrendous and violent, and it left a scar here, and it's dried something out, and it's like pulled something apart. That's the reality of what went on here. But somebody here is like making what they did seem like better than it actually was. And they're doing that by projecting maybe certain qualities to say, oh, well, somebody did that, or it was like spiritual or something. Again, with like possibly the social supports, that's where there could be a holdover from pile number one. There could be like a connective here with this social support of like, yeah, I'm kind of getting that somebody slept with someone and they were like, I was just being a friend. I was just helping out. No, you weren't. I'm remembering, okay, I knew this friend. He's not my friend. I was like around 18 years old, and I met him when I was in high school. My friends introduced us because he was really, really Christian and I was really, really Christian. And it really threw me for a loop because he was like one of the most unchristian people that I'd ever met in regards of his actions, like once he started to progress into young adulthood. And I remember he called me one day and he was worried about God, like whether or not he thought God hated him. But honestly, it just seemed like a pull for like attention because one of his friends that was an adult and was going through a divorce, had 2 kids with somebody, was at the bar, called him to pick her up, to take her back to her house. And then he ended up sleeping with her. And that was the first time that he ever did the thing. And he was like, but she was like begging me to. And I was like, no, that doesn't make it okay. He was trying to frame it like I did something for her. It was a good thing for her. She was hurting. She was begging me to. So why do you think she called you? Let's back this up. Why do you think she called you? She called a friend to pick her up from the bar because she understands that she's in an inebriated state, that she's grieving over her divorce. She's in a bad way. She knows she's not in a good place to make decisions and that she's going to do something stupid. And she also does not want to be predated upon. So she called you to come pick her up and to make sure that she gets from point A to point B safely. You did not do that. You did not do that. And I'm pretty sure their relationship fell apart and he couldn't understand why. And he didn't know that God was like going to forgive him. And I was like, well, of course God's going to forgive you if you like pray for forgiveness, but you also need to like recognize that what you did was wrong. But he was like trying to make it seem better than it actually was. But that guy was a predator. And that wasn't the only situation that I heard about where he was sleeping with women when they were drinking. He was not a good person. And like every time I would try to say that to him, he would argue with me or like not understand it. So finally I like had to distance myself from him because it confused me because he kept saying he was a Christian and he would go to church every Sunday. Like it was confusing, but he did not practice what he preached. Something is wrong here. And it was wrong and it was not okay. Like, oh, I was just being like a social support. No, the fuck you weren't. You stopped being her friend the moment you slept with her. You didn't understand that that's why she called you is because she knew she was in a vulnerable position and that, you know, like F the pain away kind of a thing. That's why she called a friend to go get her from, and you should have been that. So no, you're not a social support. Like there's something here where it's like, I don't know, like messed up. Yeah. And this like love and acceptance. So there could be somebody here who this is very anxious attacher style, even if this is a man. They sleep with people for attention, but they sleep with people for acceptance. And anybody that gives them attention, they feel flattered by. And so they feel like they can't say no ultimately. And so I don't know if this was like the woman, she felt like she couldn't say no, but, and she's fawning. That's another thing that women do that men don't understand. Women will fawn. As a survival mechanism, you know? And so, especially if she's drunk or you guys are alone, she's smaller than you just shouldn't, I think that it should just be a rule. You don't sleep with people that you've never slept with before, especially when they're inebriated. You do that fully sober. You have the talk, especially if you're friends, right? So I feel like there's something here like that went on. But this person, I think, is an anxious attacher. And so they have a need for acceptance. And so just because somebody shows them attention or interest in them in that way, and it doesn't matter, this person's not thinking about the context clues and because they don't want to say no. This person ultimately doesn't want to say no because they're like scared to. And again, they sleep with people for acceptance is what I'm getting. There's something here where they sleep with people for acceptance or to like fawn. And then they have a difficulty integrating their heart and their sexuality because their sexuality is seen as something for like acceptance or like it's somehow wrapped up in this like fawning energy of like, well, don't hurt me. So I'll sleep with you so I can get out of the situation clearly or something. But this is something where that's not understood. The psychology of either an anxious attacher, like even if this is a man, or the psychology of a woman, like when she's drunk and hurting, grieving. A woman's sexuality is like just not something about that is just not understood. So it's given a rise to a karma here, difficulty integrating heart and sexuality. And if somebody here did this and cheated on somebody else, well, now they've put that splinter in somebody else here, where now that person maybe struggles with their sexuality and integrating their heart and sexuality because now they got trust issues. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I thought that my partner was great, and they are great, but they have no boundaries, and they have no sense of right and wrong, no sense of justice, no sense of like living up to their principles and their virtues and their values, and like being a person of principle in the world. So it'll be confusing because they'll profess, just like my friend, they'll profess virtues and values, and then they will consistently fly in the face of that, even when they're told like, well, of course you can be forgiven, but you should really change your behavior. You should really look at the way that your behavior affected somebody else very deeply so that you do not continue to do that to other people. Although I think there's something wrong with, like, worse with him. I don't think that he was just making mistakes. I really don't believe that. And so maybe that's the other thing. Like, I just don't believe that because your behavior doesn't change. And that's the other thing. Like, somebody who's really sorry, look, right hand. So there could have been a loss here. Loss of, ow, I just hit myself in the face. Saving face, like now somebody's face is all messed up. Like they don't look nice anymore to somebody. This could be, it fucked up the attraction here. Because there's like somebody who's like really distant and their heart is broken, or like they are scared to trust because, and I think part of it's a cavalier attitude that somebody may have of like, well, I was just helping somebody. And it's like, I need to know that on a deep level, you know the difference between helping someone and sleeping with them. I need you to understand that sleeping with somebody is very selfish, especially under these circumstances. The fact that you don't know that, the fact that you can't write a dissertation about the nuances in situations and what makes you a good person and what makes you an actual friend, that's what's concerning. Because if I mix my energy with yours, you're going to do it again. My heart is not on the line for that. I need somebody who stands up for me. I need somebody who like holds a moral boundary. Like, yeah. So there's something to do with that. So the two truths and a lie here is that, I don't know how to put this actually. I feel like they're there, but I have to kind of like try to boil it down. I think that somebody, I don't know, let me just keep going on this. Meaning or purpose gives a person a sense of focus and fulfillment, helps them recover in the face of failure or obstacle. This chasm between like them and another person is meant to be a place of focus, spiritual focus. And I'm seeing a meditator, like somebody who's, there's a lot of different like meditation techniques. Man, like my right hand, like this is the hand of loss for me. Money. Yeah, there's a big loss here. Like in regards of, I think whoever did this, they lost a lot, like in the process. They lost somebody's respect and trust and love. And I think even attraction, like there could have been attraction here. And it's like somebody did that and somebody here like lost attraction. Because it's hard for them to repair their sexuality here. They're like their heart and their sexuality. Like for this person, because it's like my heart's not safe. So somebody here, and if this feels like a woman to me, their heart and their sexuality are so intertwined that when you break their heart, you break their sexuality. They're not sexually interested anymore. And so they have to stay away from you. But whoever did this, that chasm here is a point of focus. Or maybe this did separate like heart and sexuality for somebody. Maybe even if this is a man, they did that. And then because they couldn't get the woman that they wanted, they didn't repair something here. Their heart and their sexuality is like broken. So this is the path back is what Spirit's saying. That's a truth here, is that this is the path back. Whatever the schism is, this is a soulmate. This would be somebody who's a soulmate. And they are trying to double down. They're trying to make excuses. But they don't understand that they're fucked up. Like this person has some kind of like fucked up view of what is helpful and what is hurtful. It's not okay for you to sleep with your friend that because they couldn't drive home or something. Like that's not the time to if your friend cannot operate a motor vehicle and you are sleeping with them, that's a crime. That should be a crime. There's something wrong here. No, you're not a friend. No, you were not helping. You should have absolutely said no. You should have held a boundary. If they want to sleep with you in the morning after a coffee and a full breakfast of fatty foods, that's a different thing. Okay. But yeah, no, there's somebody here who needs to be able to not just express this, but like they need to understand this fully and deeply. That this was absolutely wrong. It absolutely was not helpful. It did not come from a good place. It came from a selfish place. And that is the only thing that's going to make somebody, that's actually going to put them at ease. I feel like there's a paradox here. If it's not sexual, I feel like it's something to do with scorpionic energy. There was a trauma here. There's a trauma. And I also am hearing there's a trauma bond created because say that this is like your boyfriend did this like with one of their friends. These two have a trauma bond because they just like like together like, yeah, it didn't mean this. It didn't mean that. Yes, it did. And I actually think that the person that they slept with is a bad person. They're either stupid or bad. And it's one of the two, like in regards of this. But they both, this is a codependent relationship. They both have to feed this false narrative to avoid looking at their own self. So they're in cahoots. That's what I mean. These two are in cahoots. And that's what I mean by stupid is this is illogical. And they're actually being very oppositional to like the person whose heart's been broken here because they refuse to acknowledge the truth. This is a person who's like, no, that was fucked up. These two engaged in some kind of selfish behavior. If this was a cheating situation, but definitely one person did, and it was the sober person who had to drive home. Maybe this is a metaphor. I hope this is making sense, even if this isn't like your exact situation. Yeah. So the meaning or purpose gives a person a sense of focus and fulfillment and helps them recover in the face of failure or obstacle. This is meant to be a focus. And like I said, I'm seeing a meditator like focus on a certain, sometimes you focus on like a certain point in the room. And I'm hearing that quote. Oh my gosh, focusing on like the loss of it. Focus on what you lost. That'll reveal the truth. Because this person's like, because they think that they can salvage what they lost. This is absolutely lost here. And they need to understand that it's because somebody's heart and sexuality are very fused. And when you break their heart, or if you abuse their sexuality, it shuts off the other one. So this is irreparable as it is. Focus on what you lost, and that will reveal the truth. This is lost. You're not going to, you're not going to make that better with that energy. That's a lie that you tell yourself. Okay, that's what this is. This is two truths and a lie that like somebody tells themselves. Okay, so the lie is that there's nothing wrong here and that they were just trying to help. That's a lie. There was selfishness, and someone's outright selfish and a bad person. They may well have like involved with a bad person, or they need to admit that they are a bad person. No, this was wrong and it's not helpful. I was just trying to help with your penis. I want to know what your penis has to do with this. Like, that's what needs to be described here. So for a second, just indulge me for a second, because I have taken master level courses in psychology. I have a bachelor's in psychology. I took ethics level masters in psychology. You're taught not to sexually involve with the people you're helping. A lot of humans have to be taught how to help somebody, because it's not helpful if your selfishness is in it. It should be 100% about the patient that you are helping. That's a helping dynamic. That's a helping relationship. Again, I ask you, what's your penis doing in the middle of this? I would love for you, I would love for you to write a paper to my professor that taught ethics in helping someone emotionally. I would love for you to write that up and turn it into him and see what he would say about that. I would love to know I would love to see him just shred it in front of you, because that's what would happen. You would fail that class miserably. So don't be in my face arguing for this. Okay, somebody just unlocked their brain. Yeah, boom. And that's Venus energy as well. See how I'm being fierce? And I'm sticking by my principles and my values. And I'm saying, no, this decision should have been in alignment. If your value is helping people, you should have made a decision in alignment with helping people. And if you don't know what helping people is, you need to learn. That's the path back. It could be that somebody here has a natural calling to be in a helping field, but doesn't understand what helping people means. And they don't understand that it's not selfish. It doesn't come from a selfish place. So that's the lie here. I feel like we're just now kind of getting it. That's a lie here, is that you can help people from a selfish place. No. I just heard, we found love in a hopeless place. So focusing on this, how do I repair this? That becomes a spiritual focus. It literally is. I'm hearing like drum beating, like shamanic drums. I'm hearing incense. I'm seeing the temple build up around like this fault line. And it's, somebody has to learn how to take responsibility. That's like really what it is. This was my fault. Somebody needs to say, this was my fault. And then you're going to wait for a bunch of bullshit to come out their mouth. But it's just that I like it. It won't come. And that's how you know that this person will be healed. And I think they'll move away from whoever they were helping, because they're not the one. Okay, they ain't the one to be helping that person. So they need to say, I'm not the one. I'm too selfish in regards of you, and it pollutes my brain, and I have done something so wrong. This is like, again, in therapy, you should recommend this person to another therapist. That's the help they need from you, is the help to navigate away from you, right? So we have to be honest with ourselves. Sometimes we're not the people. Sometimes we're not the one, right? But we can still have a calling in the helping field, but part of that is knowing when you are compromised in your ability to do that, and someone is here. But this is what is the goal energy. It's giving meaning or purpose to someone's existence, and that's what's actually going to repair something here. And it's going to, because the karma and the wound that they've caused, possibly in themselves, and I think other people here as well, through their dirty deeds, done dirt cheat. Yeah, that's what it is. Somebody's like, I'm trying to help people. Dirty deeds and a done dirt cheat is what God's saying. I don't want your bonnet on and your little doe eyes and saying that you're just trying to help somebody, when the reality of the energy vibration that you emit out is dirty deeds and a done dirt cheat. There's a difference. There's a difference. And if you don't know the difference between that and that, we are in elementary school. And that's okay, but you got to understand that. In this certain aspect of your life, you're in third grade. You know, you're not in college. Don't act like you're in college. It'll confuse you. You're in third grade. Ask your teacher to go over your work, kind of a thing. And this will give, but somebody here's really got to admit that they're wrong and that they misunderstood something. Projection. Okay, projection also, like, I'm seeing movies. So I feel like there might be a movie where they're like, oh, but that's how it plays out in the movies. But your life is not a movie, and like the movie is like the distortion kind of a thing. Okay, so oh yeah. And somebody here is like, it shouldn't be that bad. Like, let me just put a Band-Aid on it. No. No. And I think it could have put two soulmates at a distance here. Like, that could be the thing. And I think that if these are two soulmates, because somebody here just slept with a friend or something, and it could even be that friend that's like, I was helping them. No, baby, you were not. It actually did what it did is it separated two soulmates out. And I think definitely the woman, somebody here is like, actually I think both, maybe their heart and sexuality are split. So this is a woman, and I think that there is some kind of like sexual healing that happens between these two. But they can't even do that because their hearts are like broken, or somebody's heart is like broken here. If this is a man, he's out sleeping with a bunch of people with no heart in it. And that's a part of the karma that somebody here is like a part of for sleeping with somebody and saying that they were just helping them. And I think though that some of these people are saying that and they know absolutely that what they were doing. I think they know absolutely, they just don't want to be called out, and they don't want to be seen as somebody who did that. Because they want to be seen as a spiritualist. They want to be seen as a helper. So get on our side then. But we all do fucked up things, and we have to admit it. That's the difference between a true spiritual person and not. Not that they're perfect, but just when you're wrong, you'll admit it so that you can actually heal it. Somebody here's like not doing that. And it's either the friend that like was helping somebody and then slept with them, and it could have had to do with drinking. And like, okay, well, I took them home, and you slept with them, and you want to say that you are helping somebody? This doesn't make any sense. Okay, Emily, thank you so much for the super chat. You're hilarious. Your little bonnet. I love your visuals. Yeah. Somebody here's got to get real. They're not in reality. They're dealing in delusion, which is a sign that your ego defense mechanisms are active. They're trying to protect a self-image. So you've just got to get real on who you are here, because somebody's like hurting you, and you definitely need to leave. You need to exit stage right. You need to pray for these people every single day. You're not the one to help. You weren't the one to help the first time, and you're not going to help put these two people back together. You need to exit stage right. And the next time this person calls and you're like, I think I might sleep with you, because you know you're attracted to this person. You know that you are. Say, I'm unavailable. Let me call you a cab. Let me call you an Uber. That's what you should have done. And only when you realize that that's what you should have done, can you actually fix this. That's how you help in the situation. Don't show up. If you can't control yourself, don't show up. But find a different way to get that. That's self-awareness. That's know thyself is the baseline for all spiritual advancement. So if you know that you're incapable of being selfless and truly giving from a selfless place, remove yourself. That's what you need to do. Okay. So Shakti power, speed and quick results. I knew it. Somebody here did this on purpose. And I feel like they used when somebody was down, they needed help. So they were either drunk, they were grieving, they were sad. They used that to get speed and quick results. So don't lie to me. Don't sit here and lie to me. That's the lie. Or the lie is that sleeping with somebody was going to get them some kind of quick results in something. But there's a lie around this, the speed and quick results. It's either that, oh, well, I didn't mean to. But actually you knew that when somebody was down or when they were drunk, that you could get speed and quick results. You knew that. Or, that sleeping, I don't know, would get some kind of speed and quick results. Maybe that's the mirror between these two that cheated. This guy's like, I'm going to sleep with another person. It's going to ruffle my soulmate's feathers, and it's going to give me speed and quick results. What it's going to do is give you trauma and karma and carnage and splittage. And that's the truth of it. That's the truth of it. Yeah. Fulfillment, wealth, and fame. Accumulate good karma is on its head. That's for sure. This is not accumulating wealth and good karma. Effort and healing is on its head. Effort and healing. There was not effort put in towards healing. That's a truth. I think, there's some real fucked up mental gymnastics that are going on here. And it's because ego defense mechanisms are active. If this is your pile, sorry, I'm being very fierce with this because I am a very principled person, and this just kind of cuts me to my core of like, let's not do fucked up shit and call it love or call it healing. I just really don't like that. I also spent time at a spiritual healing center, and there was a board of like people offering like spiritual stuff, and those people would sleep with the people that they are helping. And I was in school at the time. ew. It's just ew. It's just giving ew. Anyways, so yeah, there was not effort put into healing here, because I think somebody's lying to themselves and saying, oh, I put effort into healing. Or like, no, you didn't. No, because the core wrongness of it, or like the core wound here, has not been identified. And so it hasn't been dealt with directly. And the way to deal with it, somebody's lying to themselves, because the way that they need to leave. And they should have left from day one, because they knew that they were selfish. They knew that they were attracted to somebody they should not have been. They knew that so they capitalized when somebody was down. And I think they really traumatized somebody here. Or they put two soulmates at a distance. They like possibly like broke up a marriage or something. This is bad. Karmically speaking, listen to me. You know, I only say it because I'm truly genuine. Don't be a hard rock when you really are a gem. The level of bad karma that's gone on here is wow. Okay. So don't lie to yourself about that. It's not a small deal that you separated out two people. That isn't small. Yeah, wealth, fulfillment, and speed and quick results. Somebody could have thought that they were going to get that. I don't think that they did. I don't think that they did. Anyways, I don't know what the two truths and the lie here are, but I think that you can probably parse that out.
North says that there's three lies and 0 truths.
Yeah, this is just like a bag of shit. Is what this is. Oh, I get it. The two lies are there. If this was a cheating situation, those are the two lies, and then the soulmate here is like the truth. The soulmate got like, you know, something like that maybe. I don't know. Let me just see if I can't figure out spirit. What is the two lies and the truth? Just give me like a. I feel like you can probably piece this together. There's a lot of lies in this pile. What's two lies and the truth? Oh my God, it's literally the people. There's karma going on here. There's a paradox and of like moving away. Because I feel like the soulmate had to move away from another soulmate because they believe that person's a karmic. And they believe that person's a karmic because they did something karmic like with somebody else and they involved with a karmic. These are the two lies. Because you've got somebody here that actually, they're lying and they're saying that they were trying to help somebody, but they felt lacking and they felt in some way. This could be in terms of like, I'm not as attractive. I'm not as this. Or they lacked money. They felt like left out in the cold. So this is the truth of one person here. But they're lying and saying that they're the sanctuary. Get it? They're lying and trying to say that they're the sanctuary. So that's one. So one person here is lying. They're saying they're the answer. They're saying they're the sanctuary. They're saying they're the healer. But really they lack morals, and I think they lack something else. And it could be, again, a sense of attractiveness and that somebody chooses them and wants to be with them. So they have low self-esteem here. They also could lack money or like social standing or social position. This other person, this to me feels like the masculine in the situation that is actually a soulmate over here, but is a lie himself. So he's the lie because he's the devil. Could be really attractive and he offers somebody being on strings. This could be the same masculine from pile number 1 because he jumped in over here. So this person's now on a string. They thought he was going to be the answer to this lack. This person is lying in this reading. This is why I'm so angry because don't lie to me. Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. And that's what this person's doing. Oh, I was helping. No, you're not. No, you're not. Okay, and if you want to have a real conversation about it, you want to heal, you want to be involved in spirituality, we got to have a real conversation about it. You're not bringing your real self to the table. And then this person, I'm so sorry if this is coming off harsh. This is the person who's like, well, I want to heal this and I'm in spirituality. They're not even talking about who they really fucking are. And who they are is they feel lacking. And unless you're willing to talk about this, you're not healing. You're not advancing spiritually. Because you're just putting on a mask of, oh, I was well-intentioned the whole time. I didn't know. No, you weren't. You knew the whole time that you felt in this energy. And unless you want to talk to us about this, you are not getting better. And we're having you're wasting everyone's time. You're wasting everyone's time. If you're in therapy and you're not talking about this, but this is hard because this person has to say, I know what I was doing. Because that's the truth of it. And they won't fix this situation unless they say, I know what I was doing. Because this person knew what they were doing. This isn't like, whoops, and it just happened. Nope. That's a lie. That is a lie. They knew the whole time that somebody here was like drunk and they capitalized on that. But you know what that makes this person? A predator. That's what it makes them. This is a woman. This is a woman. This is a predator woman. And she has become a predator because she feels lacking. So this is a warning. This is why you get on a spiritual path. And that's why you deal with it. It's of the utmost seriousness. Because if you don't deal in reality, you become a predator. And it becomes hard for you to say, oh shit, I was the predator in that situation. But it's the shadow. And there's a desperation here because of the feeling of lack. I need money, or I need attention, or I need to be chosen because I feel so lacking within myself. But this is a real slippery fish because this is the person that's trying to act like they're the healer in this situation. They're trying to act like they're the sanctuary. They're trying to act like they're traditional. The church. They're trying to act like they're the church. Give me a break. This is blasphemy. This is, I want to rip this card up. Okay. And it's not because this person's a bad person. I think this is actually a very good person, but this is definitely what's in their shadow. And what offends me is that this person is wasting all of our time, and people are hurting. People are actually hurting in this situation, and it's not them. Well, it is them, but it's all self-inflicted. And this is the place where it needs to start. You need to stop predating upon other people. There needs to not be a predator in our midst. And the only way is for the predator to admit that they're a predator and then to go to work on not being a predator anymore. And in order for them to do that, they have to deal with lack. They have to confront their own lack, and they're not doing it. But they want to sit here and act like they're a friend and like they were just helping somebody. No, the fuck you weren't. And unless you're really willing to have that conversation, you're wasting everyone's time, most of all your own. This masculine also knew what he was doing. That's why he is a lie. He is the devil, and he can see this in this other person. He can see the lack here in this other person that they in some way feel lacking. And all he offers is like for people to be on a string. And all he cares about is managing his appearances. And that's where these two overlap, because all they can do is facade manage. This isn't a sanctuary. This is a predator. So if you're really a predator and you are trying to act like you're a sanctuary, the only thing you can do is facade manage. It makes you fake. And it makes, what if people go to this sanctuary looking for the truth? See how the karmas get out of control real quick? No. But this man, he is a lie as well, because he is this devil energy, and he's like impulsive, and he tried to like take some kind of quick fix. And I think that could have been jumping in with this person, because he thought that his soulmate here was going to chase after him, because that's all he's used to doing is playing games. And he's used to putting like a leash on people, getting people on his puppet strings. But I think that he was actually dealing with a soulmate here, whether these two were in a relationship actually, and he had managed to facade manage long enough to convince her that he wasn't a devil. This could be a guy that has like a business or something. It's Capricorn energy. So he's like climbing up something. He's trying to climb. Oh, there was, I already put that back in the Shakti. So he's using women for like wealth and status. And status could just be this devil energy. So this could be the guy from pile number one. For some of you, because the pile number one guy actually has like a nice personality to him, but this is the underbelly. This is the shadow. And that's what I'm saying. It's the same energy for that guy. Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. Don't tell me you're a good guy when like really this is what you offer. And you're trying to like put people on their strings. But the soulmate didn't do that. The soulmate left because the soulmate is showing up as the hermit, and the soulmate is the truth. The soulmate has isolated themselves here. And what sucks is like this person who's like been the predator, and I'm both of these people knew what they were doing. But this person is like a liar about it. They're like, oh no, I'm trying to help you. Whereas like this guy knows exactly what he's doing. He sees everything going on. He's kind of like the puppet master, but this lady didn't know that. She thought that she was, so these are the same. They have to look in the mirror here. Two lies. These people are both lying to each other. But the truth is the soulmate here, or somebody that has been harmed in this situation, and they are the truth, and they're dealing in the truth, and they're actually navigating from the truth because they've removed themselves from the situation, which is the only sane thing to do. It's the only sane thing to do because you're dealing with a devil. Look, you got two major arcana. These are the soulmates, major arcana, which is the soul journey. So these are soulmates that are on a soul journey together, and they're both working out their own karmas. But when they do, I think this is like, it's a soul energy. It's God energy. This is minor arcana. This is not where this person belongs. And they're over here. They're not meant, again, soulmate is when you do your karmic healing work, because soulmates have karma between them, but you'll grow closer together instead of far apart. This person who has like actually been a predator in this situation, when they do their work, they're going to move away from this couple. And that's part of the healing movements that are in this soulmate dynamic, is this person saying, you know what, I'm selfish and I cannot control myself. I need to not go to the grocery store hungry. And I'm not going to pee on Jess's leg and tell her that it's raining. And then act like she's the bad one for being angry with me because I'm lying to her. And we can't get anywhere with this. And I'm misrepresenting myself. This is all about like misrepresentation between these two. And I do think that, it's like this person primarily here, this woman is like in the Five of Pentacles, but her shadow is the devil. And it's reared its ugly head here, and she feels jealous and possessive over this guy because she feels lacking in some way. But with this guy, I feel like he kind of leads as this devil energy. So he has some kind of like facade or like business or like way that he kind of comes across. And his shadow is the Five of Pentacles. I think he's built himself up in something, or he seeks out status, whether that's like socially by sleeping with a lot of women or like in his business because he feels lacking. But it's a small part of himself. So that's where they overlap. These two that did the thing together. in this kind of, I feel like it was some kind of, it's an affair, or people were drunk. It's in a situation. This isn't making love. This isn't beautiful. No. This is getting dogged out over here. That's what that is. And this is self-prostitution though, because you prostitute yourself out in the process, which is why it feels like shit. Once you start becoming aware, and that's why it makes all this kind of snowballs, because it makes it harder for you to look at, because it feels so bad when you're looking at it. That's why shadow work feels so bad, is because you have to confront like the lie that I'm telling myself about this to make this more palpable for me and to preserve my self-image is not the truth. Yeah. So these are like the inside out versions here. The difference is this man is kind of on his soul path in some way, because he's like found his soulmate. Even though he's disrespecting her. But this soulmate is the truth. So that's the two lies here. And the truth. Who has like removed themselves from the situation in order to be like alone or independent. And if she has, then maybe he has also felt left out in the cold by her. And I think spirit would have done something here, because they're soulmates and there's some kind of like mirroring energy. But it is his fault. He did it first. And once she made the decision, I think, to be separate or independent, then he could have felt that she... Or if he made her feel this way, because I think he thought that was the answer, trying to make his soulmate feel lacking. Maybe she did something. I don't know. This is karma. There's karma to be worked out here. It comes in the form of this friend or somebody is pretending to help here. Karma towards the union, because there's a divine soul connection here. There really is. But people have to like be confronted with their emotions and find their own stability in this. Find their own stability. Admit that something here is a functioning dysfunction and that they need to move away from something harmful. Everybody here has had to admit that, because this person here has to say, this brought out the worst in me, and it really did. And in a way, it did you a favor. Like, if this is you, it brought out the worst in you because it brought it up to the surface. You can't deny that you've got devil energy here, which is what somebody's trying to do. They're trying to put lipstick on a pig. They're trying to make their devil energy seem like it was helpful in some way. And on a cosmic level, it is, but it wasn't helpful in a skillful way. You are not a helper, because a helper skillfully can help. They have to learn how to do that, right? You don't get sucked into rescuer, victim, persecutor. Basically, all healing is done by the person. Your body heals itself, right? Your doctor will set the cast, but the body heals itself. It's the same with the mind. The psychologist knows kind of how to set the bone, but you're going to heal yourself, right? So that's not getting sucked into rescuer, victim, persecutor. So this person has had a healing effect because God is good. God had the healing effect. This person's presence, for everybody involved in this, it sprouted their shadow. So this person has to be like, whoa, you are the devil. I only want to be with you because I want some kind of status or like some kind of image, which is why I've been horrendous to this person. It is my fault. Did he participate? Yeah, but you don't get anywhere progressing spiritually if you're like, well, it was his fault too. Great. You can't control him. You can control you. So what I want to hear from you is, this was my fault. 67% of it was my fault. And so that's the part I'm going to focus on. Is the part of it that was my fault. Because he's weak in certain ways, but I can't control him. I can control me. I know I shouldn't have gone over there. I know that I should have called an Uber. I know that I should have recommended another therapist. That's what I know. And had I done that, because it feels like whoever this is, had they done the one thing that they knew that they were supposed to do, none of this would have happened. And that's how much power they have in this situation. So this is also, by making our excuses, it's a way that we give our power away. And we say, well, I'm just at the whim of life, when really you're not. And so everybody here trying to hide from themselves and the truth, the reality of the situation, is actually keeping them powerless. It's making them feel impotent. But certain people here, these two fucks, they would rather, I'm sorry, that was rude. I'm sorry, I get worked up. These two beautiful souls that God created that are having a hard time right now, that I'm sent to help, and I'm failing. See how I just did that? I feel like I was meant to like demonstrate that. See how I'm not perfect? And see how I can admit that? Like, I'm fucked up too. And sometimes I just, sometimes certain things just get to me. But these people have to admit where they were wrong. Remember I said everybody here's got to learn how to walk away from something? So this person, when they realize it, they're going to walk away from both of these people. They're going to stay out their business, okay? Because it's flaring up something about them they don't like. They're going to go deal with what they don't like at the root. And that's going to put them on their own soul path, because this person ain't anywhere near their soul path. And they're feeling very small and very impotent. They're not a major arcana over here. They're feeling small and they're feeling impotent because they need to go elsewhere on their path, which is where they will actually be a major arcana. They'll feel like more strong. And that is kindness. That's kindness, right? Not feeding this person's bullshit. And these two, he's going to also walk away and say, I thought that this was going to be some kind of quick fix. You mirror back my own like sense of lack and immorality here. And I don't like what I see. I'm the devil. I'm trying to control things because I feel out of control. And he feels out of control when it comes to his soulmate. He was trying to bring her back into control. So he's got to walk away from this lady. This soulmate is going to have to walk away. She doesn't give a single rat's ass about this person because this person isn't either of these people's soulmates. So there's no genuine like connection here. And this person just wanted to poach this man, wanted to go after them. So they have some kind of acquaintance. This feels in this lifetime only. They don't know each other from past lives. If they do, it's been karmic and it's caused problems, but there's no genuine like depth or connection here. So I don't know that these two would even know each other very well. So it's not that this soulmate needs to walk away from this person. I mean, if this is somebody who's, in order to get close to this masculine, has to also get close to this soulmate. Wow, what a piece of shit. And because here they are like kind of immoral, meaning this is like your nanny, and it's like up and ugh. So this person doesn't feel like, oh no, I have to walk away from this person, but they do. They need to get away from this person, which might mean getting away from this masculine. If this masculine is trying to win something and prove a point by being with this person who is in lack, who is immoral, and who is not his soulmate. So if these two are together, then yeah, I'm going to have to get away from both of you, but they don't even want to be with each other. And he certainly doesn't want to be with this person. It's not real. He's just doing it to control. He would, if these two like ended up in a relationship or something, it's extremely hollow, and he's just doing it to try and control soulmate. And the soulmate has to move away from her soulmate. So that everybody here then has to deal with the fact that of the truth of what went on here and the wrongness of it, because there's a real desire in this group to like lie to themselves, and that only takes away your own power. That's the paradox. I love a paradox point. It seems like it's helpful for you because you don't have to admit what you did wrong, but that's actually where you become right. And that's where your power is. And it seems like, oh, that's not what a spiritual person would do. Spiritual people make mistakes, but you have to be able to deal with it and actually look at it and then like move on from it and allow this to be a painful, painful lesson with the Ten of Swords. I feel like there was a lot of fucked up stuff that went on here. Like where these two were like, pss, 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 and they were talking mad shit. But this, again, they were just projecting out. These two were just projecting out pss, 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 about the soulmate here. That's what they do. I'm remembering a TikTok that I saw, and this woman was like, the scariest thing, like when your partner has an affair, is like, you don't know about her, but she knows everything about you. She knows where you work. She knows your schedule, what you have for breakfast in the morning, what upsets your stomach, because they lay up in the bed and they talk about you, because that's the only thing they have to, the cheapest way to form a connection is to have a shared other. So he feels intimidated by his soulmate. He doesn't feel good enough, and he's extremely immoral. And so he projects out, like he's lying to this soulmate person. Both of these people are in lack. Both of these people are immoral in some way. And instead of admitting that, they want to talk shit about the soulmate who's not laid up in the bed with this person over here. So yeah. So the truth has to be confronted here, and the fault has to be accepted. These people will heal. This soulmate will heal when she's like, no, it's both y'all fault. No, I'm out. And it'll be my fault if I stay and you do it again. It'll be my fault then if I stay and you do it again. So she's like over here, she's owning it. And that's her acknowledging the truth of like the fault, like who's at fault here, because she's not safe. These two people though, they lie to themselves about being at fault. And they like to hide behind the skirts of the other one because it makes them feel like, well, you're just as bad as me. That's a karmic relationship. It's not a soulmate relationship. They might be able to save face though, and the material by being together or in a way that they speak about each other or the situation or this other person. And all they're doing is lying in order to facade manage. Don't do that. You're not growing spiritually. That's for damn sure. You're just building up a lot of negative karma. That's this Ten of Swords. It's a lot of lies that are betrayal. This is a painful, painful ending for everybody. For this person, it's a painful ending because they have to recognize that this is a karmic, and also it's not their answer. And also that they're not a helpful person, and that they were not well-intended, and that they were poaching, and that they were a predator the whole time. And that's their shadow, is that this person's a predator. And they're a predator because they're desperate and they feel lacking. And if they're going to heal, they have to deal with that. I feel desperate. I feel lacking. Deal directly with that, away from these two. I mean, you can process this in therapy, right? And this guy, this is a painful ending. This to me, like I'm hearing the Esther Perel thing where it's like many people will be married more than one time. You have to decide whether or not you would like to have your second marriage be together. But this is done. This is a painful ending because this guy's not going to be in devil energy and have a marriage again. You see what I'm saying? This cannot repeat. It really cannot repeat. And this soulmate here, I think, is holding a really hard stance, and they're in the right to do that. And it's everything that I was saying at the beginning of this reading, because they need the dissertation from this guy. about, hey, that person that I slept with, insecure, lacking. Me, I'm the devil in this. I'm the puppet master. I'm the major arcana bad in this. And I was trying to puppet master this person. Because of their lack, I felt like I could more easily control them. Because this person was lacking in some way. So it could be they didn't have as much money. They didn't have something here. So I felt like I could control them more. And I was also trying to control you by bringing them into the picture. They need to say that shit. That's the kind of stuff that needs to be expressed here. Not like, oh, I'm well-meaning and I meant well by you. Nobody's buying it. Nobody is buying it over here. You can say that, but it just proves that you're a liar. It just further proves that you're a liar. And she knows it. This soulmate over here knows that. You're not fooling anybody. Because somebody here is like, their head is clear. They're in the truth. This person can't help put these two people back together as well. That's another thing. This person needs to really disillusion themselves that they're helpful in this situation at all. And they cannot be, I think they have a calling. This person has a calling to be a helper, but they cannot be a helper unless they deal with their own lack, because they're too selfish when they are, when Spirit can't call them. I literally just saw like hospitals and war zones and stuff. Spirit is like trying to call this person in, needs to be able to call this person to go in, but they can't go in. Spirit won't call this person in because they're too selfish and they will do fucked up stuff. They'll do more fucked up stuff to other people. They'll do like 89%, but whatever the fucked up stuff that this person will do is really seedy. It's really insidious. It's really gross. And this is the kind of person where they won't know that it's wrong. Like this would be like talking to a wall. They know that it's wrong, but they will never admit that it's wrong because to them, their shit don't stink unless they do this shadow work. But this is a person with a calling. And I would love to know what major arcana card this person shows up as on their own timeline. But we won't know till they get there, and they're not there yet. Because they have to admit, holy shit, I'm a predator and I'm in lack and I need to deal with that directly and get back on my path. You're the devil. She didn't deserve that from either of us. See you later. And he's got a long way to go because he betrayed his love and put them at a distance and talked shit behind her back and with a friend, and then shoved this wound right into her heart. Difficulty integrating heart and sexuality, self-esteem based on looks and popularity, feelings of hurt, being rejected, and physically flawed. Bastard. So yeah, that's what happened. We're not going to play like we're nice people when we're out here doing shit like that. I mean, you might say please and thank you when you're in line at the coffee shop. That does not make you a spiritual person. It does not make you a god among men. Okay? Okay. So sorry if that one got a little bit heated. Again, I'm very Venus dominant. I got Venus right along my MC axis, Venus right along my AC because it's in Taurus, which connects to Leo. Both of them are there. And I've got Pluto right beneath that, 1 degree opposite my Venus. It's very Venusian energy, and I don't play around with love. I really don't play around with love. I love love. I want everyone to have love. And I think that hurting somebody by lying, cheating, betrayal, and in a sexual way is the worst. It's just the worst energy. I do not like it. And I come out, the ferocity comes out, and I apologize because I know I can get a little bit intense, and I'm trying to assist people. But see how I'm kind of not sucked into rescuer, victim, persecutor, because I can't even like pretend to be a rescuer in this situation because it just like flares me up. But it's Venus, and I'm being fierce, and I'm fiercely protective, and somebody bloody well needs to be protective of that that precious little angel that had to go off and be on their own, but shouldn't have had to do that. Somebody needs to be protective of her. Everybody here is just being protective of their own ego. And they're throwing around these things like, I was just looking out. I was just doing a good thing. You're just only trying to protect your own self and your own ego. And it's worse if these people are saying that they're spiritual. Ugh, I just want to rip a paper. Like that's the energy I'm in right now. And it's not that they're not spiritual. We're all spiritual. It's just that that's not what they're doing. They're pushing the food around on their plate and being like, hallelujah, man. I don't like it. I'm not about it. I hope you guys can appreciate that at the very least I'm not phony. Okay. I think the modern dating problem is that we don't respect love. Yes, I agree. I'm beginning to think I was so very wrong about this person. Yes. They are bullying that poor soulmate, but she still walks in her purpose. That is exactly the energy. And I feel like it's almost like coddling these other people is like wrong. It feels like karmically wrong. because they've done fucked up stuff. And I think these people, these are the kind of people that go to therapy or they go to spiritual places and expect for their ego to be coddled because they don't think that they should have to confront bad things about themselves. And if you hold up that mirror, then they're like, you're not being nice. And I feel like we might actually be going into pile number 3 because this is another message that I've been trying to channel all week, but it's like really hurt me. I haven't been able to get it out, and I kind of am feeling like maybe it's because it's coming out here in pile number 3. So that's it for pile number 2. It's just the beginning for pile number 2, though. In your karmic journey, that realization, y'all have work to do if you're in pile number 2, regardless of what side. Even if you're the soulmate, it's deeply unfair, it's unrighteous, and it's unjust what you've been confronted with. I feel like there's a lot of immorality that you were like face to face with. And yeah, maybe I don't know. But it's everybody here has to be like on a healing journey. And it has to do with like moving away from something and holding this like fault line. But anyways, that was pile number 2. So now we're moving on to pile number 3, which is the stone. But I'm just throwing that up there in case you're just joining us because we've already done the first 2 piles. So you can go back and listen to that. The trauma is real. After some years, it still affects me. Yeah. Soulmate now becomes a teacher for others. Yeah. And the soulmate has to have their own back because maybe they thought that, this is their guy, this is their man, and that men are supposed to be protective, and maybe they're supposed to be, but it doesn't mean all of them are. And even if they have an intention to be, it doesn't mean they have the skill set to be that way because he can't be her protector if he can't even get his own ego in check. If he can't even say like, what comes to mind is like, there's a scene in the movie Hitch with that asshole guy. What's his name? Freaking Vance Munson. And he hires Hitch because he wants to sleep with that girl. And he's clearly a misogynist. But he tells this lie to Hitch where he was like, I ran into this girl at the lingerie store. I was buying something for my mom. And he goes, and by that you mean you were buying lingerie for another woman. It's like this guy in his own head can't like hold his feet to the fire and be like, that's actually bullshit. What I actually mean is that I thought I was trying to control my soulmate by harming her and trying to make her feel lack and trying to make her feel not good enough and to make her feel rejected by pulling in this person that I felt like I can control. Because I see their lack in some way. Their lack of morality, so they'll let me do it. Or maybe their lack is that they just don't have enough knowledge about him to know who and what he is. So they haven't learned to defend themselves yet. But they lack the knowledge, so he feels like he can better control them. See what I'm saying? That's who he really is. But part of his puppet routine is facade management and not being truthful. And I think it works with karmics, but it won't work with his soulmate because his soulmate sees that. Every time these readings happen, the piles are at a different place in timeline, but it's the same universe. There's definitely that energy. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so shall we move on here to pile number 3, the stone. I just heard the sword and the stone. But let me just do this. I guess I should have done this before we got into pile 3, but maybe this is part of the message. That your lip gloss be popping. Thank you, Jesus. Okay. Compassion. Actually, before we get into pile 3, I just want to say, because I always feel bad when I get like heated like this, but honestly I have a lot of fire in my chart, and I've spent a lot of my life trying to like hide the fact that I'm a fiery person and that sometimes like I can be very angry. But I think that there is something like why Spirit gives me, I think there's a reason Spirit gives every reader like the messages that they give them. And mine, like I know certain things about psychology, so I feel like that's part of it, but also like I just don't like that energy. Like I don't like people who fuck with love and who hurt people through love. I really don't. I feel like I exist to oppose those people. And I think that you're meant to kind of see me in that energy for some reason, even though it makes me deeply uncomfortable. Maybe it's just for me, actually. Maybe I'm meant to be seen in that energy because it makes me uncomfortable, but it is actually a very real part of who I am. I don't fuck with it. And actually I hold a lot of guilt and shame because a lot of my friends, like when I was younger, they would talk to me about like they cheated on their boyfriend or something, and I would know that it was wrong. And to my credit, I can't think of a single time that I didn't bring up like, I don't think that you should really be doing that, but I would be very soft about it. I would kind of like try to like pitch it up there, but I didn't be like, no, that's wrong. Like you're hurting him. And you're hurting your boyfriend, by doing that. And we don't want that to happen to us. And honestly, it's traumatizing me to hear that like you are doing that and that you just think that's okay, because that's where my biggest traumas are, that I can't trust people. That you want to believe someone's face when they're in your face, like loving you and smiling. Like to me, it's the scariest thing in the world. And it's also just the most deeply hurtful, because it's one thing, we hurt people, right? People are just going to hurt people. And sometimes you got to fight over resources, like you need to drink some water from the river and that person is too. And maybe there's not a lot of water. So you have to kind of like fight to defend yourself. And there's a certain natural quality to that where it's not like evil or malevolent, but to get right up close to somebody, to claim to love them, to be vulnerable. You have an access to that person that an enemy should not have access to. And then you misuse that. And I find that deeply upsetting. And I don't think that we should be okay with it. I just don't. Not because, even if you take morality out of it, of like, well, there's a way that people should be treated. Why is that the kind of person that you want to be? I don't know. It bothers me to my core. And I feel like I have to confront that. But I also feel like I need to be seen in that. So thanks for seeing me, because I really have not always been as ferocious as I kind of wanted to be in conversations with my friends. This is pile number 3. Okay, this is pile number 3. This is part of the message in pile number 3. Okay, so if you're just joining us and you just like got here to the timestamp, pile number 3, you can backtrack it a little bit, but basically the 2 truths and the lie. Okay, so this, okay, I get it. This has something to do with the throat chakra and like expression, 2 truths and a lie. To where what I was just saying is I haven't always been as ferocious as I feel around my principles in regards to my friends when I feel like they're doing something wrong. So the 2 truths and a lie is that like I will a lot of times bring it up, but I'll kind of softball it. I'll be like, well, I don't really think that we should be doing that. Or, how do you think that would make him feel? Like I'm their therapist, just like, I don't know. What do you think about that? When really I'm like, I should have been the person that was like, no, stop. And I feel like God probably brought them to me because God knows that I have been hurt in that way. And also that I don't take it lightly. And so the 2 truths and the lie is that I feel like some kind of truth was communicated here. It was like, but it was soft. It was like, maybe consider this, but the lie is the tone. Because what this person actually meant, or possibly like what you meant, because maybe for some of you, it's like 2 truths and a lie, like within yourself, is the tone, is the absolutist quality of like, no, stop it. What I mean is stop it. When maybe they actually said like, well, maybe you should think about this, but that person wasn't confused about it at all. It's no, stop it, or maybe they didn't say anything at all, but they just didn't get involved in something. That's another thing too. Because it feels like something here, there's like a real blockage in the throat chakra. So 2 truths and a lie is that maybe somebody didn't express that they disagreed or that they don't like something. Nikki, thank you so much for the super chat. We see you and love you. Thanks, Jess and Alex. Thank you guys. Yeah. And I think that we should like be protective of our values, but I also think that people make mistakes. They really do. What bothers me about pile 2 is that those are people that made mistakes. For me to forgive you and be like, yeah, sometimes people make mistakes. Admit your mistake. They're not doing that. They're trying to pussyfoot around it in order to avoid my ire, and it brings it out all the more. Emily, thank you so much for the super chat. Watching your expression of righteous anger has assisted in healing my people pleaser religious patriarchal trauma. Literally same, because I feel like me connecting with that inside of me because I was like brainwashed. Sorry if pile number 3 is all over the place. I'll kind of reset us here in a second because I still feel like I'm trailing off like in pile number 2, because I also want to like re-emphasize that they try to pussyfoot around my anger and they draw it out, my ire, because I really do have a lot of compassion. I feel like this is somewhat pile 3 as well, but I got to kind of talk it out on the back end and then I'll put it into some kind of coherent sentence. But yeah, where it's just, I'm a very compassionate person and I have no problem saying like, yeah, you are a person and you made mistakes, but let's not pretend that people don't lie in order to gain some kind of leniency from people. They just want to get away with it. And then those are the people that like end up making the same mistake. And you have to guard yourself and your friends from people like that. I don't want them around me. I don't want them near me. So if you're not that person, make it very clear. Make it very clear. And the way that you're going to make it very clear is you're going to say, I fucked up. And you're going to know. You're not going to be dodging behind the stone here, right? Because that's just going to piss me off even more. And so I just want to make that very clear. We're not just dealing with people who made a mistake in pile number 2. That's the thing I want to clarify about my own energy. Because if that were the case, I have the utmost time, I have the utmost compassion, I have the utmost patience. What I don't is this trifling energy of you made a mistake, but you're not admitting it. And on top of it, you got the audacity to say that you were helping somebody. Get the fuck out of here with that. Get out. If you want to come in here and actually work on your problems, come in here and work on your problems. Okay, so so pile number 3, reset, 2 truths and a lie. like I was saying, okay, so pile number 3 has something to do with communication and language and something that was communicated. And I feel like there has been truths maybe communicated. And it could have been communicated in like somebody's absence. Like they refuse to speak to you. That's actually very loud communication, and it's the truth. They don't want anything to do with you. They couldn't be louder in their communication. So potentially that is a truth. Or there was something here that was actually communicated in communication, but it was communicated very softly, and they were trying to kind of tiptoe around your ego, or they were kind of trying to tiptoe around your feelings, but they were still saying the thing that they needed to. It just wasn't all congruous, where they didn't say it with their words and their tone of voice, their facial expression and their mannerisms, because it would have been very intense. It would have been absolute. There's something here that's like an absolute yes or an absolute no. And I feel like that's where maybe this ties in with like pile number 2. There's a fault line here. There is like a black and white truth. And again, I'm going back to that Hitch thing in my mind where it's like, and by that you mean you were buying lingerie for another woman. It's like, there's no gray area around this. There's something here that's like black and white. It needs to be addressed. It's a yes or it's a no. It's right or it's wrong. And that needs to be addressed. And I feel like that could have been like, communicated in a not like with the right tone. And I feel like that kind of connects in with politeness. And I feel like this is a group that the truth here, I just heard the truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off. But there's something here around like the niceness and politeness that needs to be revisited. And for a lot of you, I think this has to do with like some kind of culture. And you and this person, if there is another person involved, you may actually share this same culture, but culture is an interesting word because you can have a culture that's like as big as the entire world. You can have it be as big as a nation, a state, a town, a city, a school, but it can be as small as, a family or even a relationship between two best friends that have their own language and their own mannerisms and their own, like, they like the same foods, their own like culture between the two of them. But I feel like even if it does involve you and another person, you share a similar culture, and it feels like a culture that is bigger than just the two of you. And it actually feels bigger than even just a family, because it feels like a family has its own culture, yes, but it's nestled in like some kind of broader culture. To me, this feels like religious or even gendered, something like that. So this culture, mother culture is what I'm hearing. Mother might be an energy here, but mother culture that raises and feeds us and nurtures us all has given you some kind of lesson around language, and it has to do with politeness and niceness. But the lesson had to do with, they're showing me a triangle, like a hierarchical energy. And they're giving me the word priority. So priority is another interesting word here. That's our second interesting word. So I feel like there's something here that hinges on these words. Really think about what these words mean, and you'll understand that something was communicated, but there's like a nuance to these words. Maybe that like deadened the energy because somebody was trying to be polite or something. I don't know. But again, they're showing me this, again, around niceness and like language and politeness. They're showing me this like hierarchy. And I also just heard Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I'm going to put that to the side for a second, but there's this hierarchy and they're giving me the word priority, which I told you it's an interesting word because technically I think you can only have one priority. And I'm not trying to argue semantics here. And maybe that's another aspect of communication. I'm not trying to argue semantics. I'm trying to get across like a point, but in order to get across that point, I am using a word very intentionally, because it does actually communicate everything that I mean. But you could have latched on to a certain meaning of the word, but it has a broader meaning, a more holistic meaning. And so something here was maybe actually communicated. But like I was saying, priority, I think you can technically only have one. And I think that might be helpful here because there's some kind of action in the speech, in like the language, and it's cultural, where in the speech patterns, the priority of this culture that both you and this person have been indoctrinated into is the culture of niceness. And so what that means is that in your past, and I think that's true for this other person, you were taught the importance of being nice and being polite. And that was like very like heavily reinforced in some way, maybe very consistently reinforced. Some of you like very severely, it was reinforced for you to be polite. And so you integrated that very well into your personality, into your identity, which is an ego word. And it's a spiritual word because we're taught that we have to kind of pull apart our identity to know who we are and who we are not. So this is something that's so fused with you or this other person that you're dealing with, or both of you, because I feel like there's this shared cultural component. It's so fused with both of you that you think of yourself as like, well, I'm a nice person. I'm a polite person. So much so that you forget that being nice and being polite is and should be a choice. It should be a choice. Why? Because the way that we communicate should be situationally appropriate. It should fit the situation. It should meet the moment. Meaning the way that we should communicate should be effectual. And that should be the priority in the communication, but it's not here. The way that you communicate or the way this other person communicates, and this is like some kind of cultural, I think, deconstructing that both you and this person have to do, is that without your knowledge, it's subconscious in a way because you're so merged with it that you think it's your identity. It's not. You've been taught, brainwashed, trained, reinforced that niceness should be your priority in any given situation. So your communication has not been truthful. Now, this is the other thing that we have to kind of pull apart in deconstructing those cultural beliefs. I know I for sure have had to do this, where Tasha Blonde Diablo, thank you so much for the super chat. I have been consistently placed in situations that ruffle up my morality because I'm a very moral person. It ruffles up my morality because I would be pulled between, well, I have to be nice. That's what I was trying to say earlier when I was talking about my friends would do something that I knew was wrong. And I would kind of pitch it like, well, maybe you should stop doing that. And I wouldn't be like, no, you shouldn't do that. That's wrong. I'm not saying like be rude. The opposite of nice shouldn't necessarily be rude. I'm not saying like be rude, but I'm just meaning be fierce. Here's that other word, fierce. And most of us are women here. And if you're a man, you might be Venus dominant. But Venus is fierce. It's not malevolent. So that sometimes that ferocity means you are effective in the way that you are communicating or in the actions that you are doing. So this is a way that you have been trained not to be effective. And it's because you've been told and it's been reinforced that the priority for you should be to be nice at all times. And you do that so effortlessly and without thought that you forget that it's a choice whether or not you should be nice or not. And truly nobody knows this better than women because you know that, when there's a creepy guy and you feel uncomfortable, you know that you shouldn't necessarily be nice. You know that your body language should change because you don't want to give him an opening. You don't want to give him a reason to be like right up and around you because that just increases the likelihood and the opportunities for him to be a creep near you or all over you or around you, and you want him away from you. And you don't want any like mixed messages, but you also feel like you have to be nice because you also don't want to flare up his anger. Look, why does he do that? Inside the minds of angry and controlling men. And I'm going to finish this thought, but actually this is the paragraph that I opened up to, and I just want to read this for a second. Pile 3 is a little bit popcorned all over the place, and that might be to do with the energy here. Okay, so I haven't read this book, and this is going to be out of context, but it says myth number 7. He's too angry. He needs to learn anger management skills. That's a myth, according to this book. So it says, a few years ago, the partner of one of my clients went through an ordeal where her 12-year-old son from a previous marriage disappeared for more than 48 hours. For 2 days, Mary Beth's heart was beating faster and faster as she drove around town looking for her son, made panicked phone calls to everyone she knew, and dropped her son's photograph at police departments, newspapers, and radio stations. She barely slept. Meanwhile, her new husband, Ray, who was in one of my groups, was slowly building to a boil inside. Toward the end of the second day, he finally burst out yelling at her, "I am so sick of being ignored by you. It's like I don't even exist. Go F yourself." When people conclude that anger causes abuse, they are confusing cause and effect. Ray was not abusive because he was angry. He was angry because he was abusive. Abusers carry attitudes that produce fury. A non-abusive man would not expect his wife to be taking emotional care of him during a crisis of this gravity. In fact, he would be focused on what he could do for her and on trying to find the child. It would be futile to teach Ray to take a time out to punch pillows, take a brisk walk, or concentrate on deep breathing because his thinking process will soon get him enraged again. In chapter 3, you will see how and why an abuser's attitudes keep him furious. So this is different than like the ferocity of Venus. So, anyways, take that neither here nor there, but it did just like kind of snap me into that. So, the niceness, like don't be nice in the face of that. Be ferocious. Like, we've got to look for my son. You're being egotistical. I don't know. So getting back to like the language thing and deconstructing this like cultural component, you have to realize that it is a choice whether or not to be nice and polite, and that sometimes it is not situationally appropriate to be nice or polite. Like in that situation, she's looking for her son and she can't take her time and energy. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like there's been some kind of communication here where it's not been like all in alignment. Yeah. Now, and like I said, so I was getting ready to say, I've been put in situations in my life, and I'm sure that this is true for you as well, where I felt like this push-pull inside of me because I knew that doing the nice thing wasn't the right thing to do. Sometimes you have to stand up for somebody. Sometimes you have to be like, you have to put yourself like in the line of fire. Sometimes doing the nice thing is not the same thing as doing the right thing. It's not the same thing as doing the effectual thing. And so I'm hearing, what if you're called by spirit? And this would go in the face of everything that you've ever heard about femininity, because I believe that religion, this patriarchal society, kind of brainwashes us to be picked off by men so that they can like do whatever they want, to be like men's fantasy, or so that they can use us as objects. But what if God wants you not to be nice above all else? What if that's something else? Something else wants you to be nice because it benefits them. What if God calls you to be effectual? How would that change your language structure? Or you're dealing with a person that's something that they've had to deconstruct in order to get back to the truth of who they themselves are. So this has something to do with language, two truths and a lie, where I do think truths have been communicated here, either in silence. There's a dead ass silence of, and what that, it's so loud and it's truthful. And it's saying, no, I'm not okay with this. I don't like you. I don't want to be around you. It's saying something like that. There's like, that is communicate. There's no words there because this person doesn't feel like they can be mean. And they can't say what they want to say to you without being mean, or without being forceful, or without being blunt, or without being direct. Because especially where women are concerned, if you're blunt, if you just say, sometimes you don't have the energy. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes you do not have the energy to pussyfoot around with this bitch or with this dude. Why am I so mean? I literally didn't even mean to say bitch there. It just like came out. But you know that somebody is expecting you to just like pussyfoot around their feelings and to pussyfoot around their ego. And you just don't have the energy because you know what you want to say. And it's yes or no. It's you hurt me. You did wrong here. And you know that you want to say that. You know that you want to just hit the nail on the bullseye, but you can't because of the cultural expectations. So instead you're just exhausted and you don't want to try and you don't trust that person. It's a waste of time anyways. So instead you just stonewall, because it could be that, again, if you share the same culture and like this is a man and you're a woman, you expect to be hit with the full weight of that cultural belief. Of you can't be yourself. You can't be a real person, an effectual person, or raw person, because it's not polite. You don't fit in the mold that you're supposed to fit in. So it splinters somebody's psyche to where, and also their communication, to where truths have been said here, but also they haven't been said in the tone and with the intensity that they are actually felt. And I think also like with a man, remember in pile number 1, I think this guy may well have feelings, like soft gushy feelings here, but he's pissed somebody off and he wants her to yell at him. But the Lighthearted Alchemist, thank you so much for the super chat. Please check Chaos Coven chat after the stream today. Okay. So yeah, like I think he's done something here and he wants her to yell at him, but she has been very thoroughly indoctrinated into the cult of niceness, where she feels like she's got to be nice. So that's what she's doing. That's her priority, is to be nice. It's not to be raw, and it's not to be effectual, and it's not to be like truthful, like in her emotions. She's like withholding, and he's like, well, I need you to yell at me so that I can tell you my feelings. That's kind of what this feels like. So it could be this man, like something has been said here in his absence, but like he doesn't feel like he can be emotional. Okay, so there may be different cultural beliefs, like for men or women here. So he feels like culturally he's not supposed to talk about his feelings. But if his woman is yelling at him, then he can say his feelings. Then it's like, okay, because she's mad and he's trying to calm her down. And he can just say that to his friends. Well, I was just trying to calm her down, or something. Or like in his own mind, like I didn't break bro code, or I didn't like go against something that like I actually felt. But yeah. So there's something here that's getting in the way of the language. And it feels like if it's the soft feelings that haven't been communicated, it's not been communicated for a cultural reason, but I don't think it has been communicated. Where I feel like anger, though, has been communicated. It's just, it's been communicated because somebody's walked away. They refuse to have a conversation. They're stonewalling. And what that says is, you hurt me. I don't like the way I was treated here, and I don't trust you. I don't like you. I don't want this. Like, that's what it's saying. But it feels like somebody here did whatever messed up thing they did because they couldn't, in lieu of communicating something softer and like more intimate. And I don't think that has been communicated. So that's the lie. Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out how to like put that in the two truths and a lie kind of a thing. Maybe the two truths are over. I don't know. There's two truths and a lie somewhere in here. But yeah. Yeah, there's like so much grayscale in this too, because I have like pile number 2 up here as well. I think for some of you, this does connect back to pile number 2, where somebody has to like own up to what they did wrong, and they would rather be looked at as like controlling, or as a player. Like, oh yeah, I'm just out on the town, just getting laid because my whole life is about my 3 inches, you know? And it's like, ugh, you know, but he would rather be seen in that light than as being vulnerable or be feeling insecure or having feelings for somebody. He'd rather be seen in that light because of some kind of culture that he's been indoctrinated into. So it's caused a real blockage here in the communication. And I imagine like the karma, I just saw like the 5th house, but I also saw in the throat chakra, communicating romance, communicating maybe that's the thing too. It's like, it's put a blockage here in communicating playfully or even like theatrically, you know, and like having a good time. But somebody here is like comfortable in that because it's a deflection. You know, if you can communicate playfully, it's a way to maintain the niceness, but like you can kind of say what you mean. So somebody here maybe wants an opportunity to flirt. This guy wants an opportunity to flirt, but something that he did that he thought was going to make her angry, so then he could confess his feelings, because he just couldn't confess his feelings, which is what he needed to do, but it's because of some kind of culture indoctrination. He did something messed up. It's put a blockage here. He wants romance. He maybe wants something kind of playful here, to be able to express himself. Like, but there's a blockage, and that's karmically put there because it's keeping him from falling back on his not defense mechanism, but like his copium, like the thing that he does to cope instead of learning how to communicate his feelings directly and doing the cultural deconstruction work around, I think this would be like maybe a masculine culture, but this also, to me, it looks like religious culture or Christian culture. But you know, like how in modern society, we have this, the red pill to like the religion pipeline. There's some weird overlap, and the overlap is misogyny. They hate women and they're all about controlling women. And they see that even if you wanted to make the argument that religion's not trying to do that, which I don't know that I could get behind, but that's what they have in common. When you first see that and you first kind of clock that, where it's like all these red pillars that are like, go out to the bar, harm people, and then they find their way into like patriarchal society and like trying to be like all these like religious figures now. You're like, huh? That doesn't seem to make sense. But the underlying thing is like misogyny, controlling of women, and this like shared culture around male and female roles. I feel like there's something here about a shared culture that has to do with male and female roles. And that's like kind of a subculture of like men. And then there's a subculture of women, and it like kind of keeps them apart. There's a overarching culture, mother culture, that is like diseased, and then it keeps them like apart because men can't confess their emotions to the people that they need to in the way that they need to get the results that they need to. It makes them ineffectual. So I think for men, it's not the niceness, it's the emotional coldness. It's stonewalling or being like, yeah, emotionally cold. That's the priority. So above all else, remain unflappable. Seem like you're not affected. Like, seem like you're not affected. That word affected is coming through. Seem like you're not affected, but then like she is taught not to be effectual. So it keeps them apart because she's taught to be polite above all else, which is, in other words, don't be effectual. Be nice over being effectual. So she's over here and can't be effectual because he's basically putting it on her to take the lead. But then wanting to be the lead or be, this is all messed up. Somebody here needs to do some like cultural deconstructing, because it's like there's hypocrisy here, there's doublespeak here, there's I say one thing and I do another. I profess to have a value of one thing, but really I express another, because there's no what is it? It's like there's no it's like there's hypocrisy here, but it's like, what does that mean? There's no like if you say that this is what you're trying to do, like be religious or like live up to some kind of higher ideal, you're not gonna be like, as a rule, trying to subjugate women or any other class of people for that matter. It's incongruous. But, and people are so firmly in their camps when it comes to communication that it's like, this isn't coming together, and it's causing a lot of karma and it's causing a lot of rifts. But there's a common enemy, and it's reminding me of the Mark Twain quote where he talks about the ants in the jar. If you put a glass jar and there's black ants in there and then there's red ants in there, at first they're fine. They don't have a problem with each other. But if you close the jar and you start shaking it around, they start attacking each other because they think it's coming from the other person when really it's coming from the person shaking the jar. In this case, mother culture. Mother culture is like the big thing that you can't see that's actually causing the problem here. And it's around communication. And I feel like there's something here where it's like, no, he actually does care. Even if this is a friend that like predated upon you in some way, for dominance and like to try to subjugate you to declare his own masculinity. Because masculinity, when you really listen, they equate it with dominance and harming other things and asserting their dominion like over other things. That is like, that's where like psychopathy somehow got like twisted in with masculinity. And it's not. Like it's got to be like pulled apart. Healthy masculinity doesn't do that. It finds its place and its balance in all things. It leads with its heart. It protects. That's why it protects its family. It's not for its ego. It's because its heart. You know, everything that he is and his strength goes to his heart. Remember I said that in pile 2? His actions and his body should be where his heart is. But it's not there. He's too busy trying to appease people that are actually karmic enemies to his woman, is what it feels like, or to his friends that are over here on the woman side of things. So if this person hurt you, they can't communicate their emotions. They're trying to like stonewall their emotions when they actually feel very emotional about what went on here or about themselves. So, but they have to, their karma is dealing with the culture for both of you. And I think for you as well, like your culture tells you that you got to be nice. And I'm not telling you to just be rude for the sake of it. And you see me catch these things again. And it's about being human. I just feel like there's something here too, because I feel deeply embarrassed right now. I always feel embarrassed after live streams, to be honest, because I always feel like very vulnerable. Like, more and more, I feel like I show more and more of myself, but I'm not a perfect person. Like when I said bitch earlier, that's still bothering me because that was so mean. And like, it just came out, but I caught it in the moment. And again, that's another thing where it's like, I think it's just important to see people being people, not being perfect, being willing to admit when they're not perfect and just like kind of catching it in the moment, being like, that's not who I am. I was angry. I didn't even mean that. Like, I don't know, please forgive me. Like, you know, it came out wrong, but I caught it and I apologized like in the moment, you know? But also yeah, that's the thing too, is like, as I'm trying to move into being more of an effectual communicator, which is like part of the spiritual journey that I've been on. And I think that might mirror for a lot of you, is I'm trying to overcome my cultural programming of like being nice and polite as a priority above all else, where sometimes that means I keep my mouth shut when I should say more, you know, or I should interrupt something that's going on. I literally just got like goosebumps. Oh, I feel like somebody's like hugging me or like sending me love. Thank you. You guys are sending me, I feel it. But anyways, yeah. So as I'm on my journey to overcoming that cultural programming, see how it's like not smooth always, like it's not seamless and I fuck up because like I don't know where the line is because it's like, well, this is what I'm feeling inside. But it's about a balance, right? You know, like you still need to be respectful of other people. Like not everybody's a bitch just because you disagree with them, Jessica. Like, you know, or just because you're feeling angry doesn't mean that it's okay to just like always like unload and unleash that anger. And so it's hard for me to kind of like find that balance. And every once in a while I do feel like I cross the line and then I feel like embarrassed about it and I like kind of process myself and I'm like, I wish that I like, it's like not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, you know, but I used to be polite to like an absolute T where I would never tell you anything real about myself. I would never tell you what I actually felt in a situation because I was just brought up that that's not what you do. And there are people in my family who very much taught me to do that are kind of wishing they didn't now, I'm sure, because we can't get over our issues because I can't have a real conversation with them. They taught me not to. They taught me not to be in touch. They don't care. They don't care about my actual feelings and if I'm actually okay. They want me to put on a little performance of like, we are the perfect family and everything is fine, regardless of the fact that you have an alcohol problem that you refuse to address, the fact that I'm constantly, my soul is constantly snuffed out by you, the fact that you steal money from me and you don't want to admit it and haven't paid me back and haven't even said sorry, like, you know, but I'm supposed to show up and be polite and do a little show, put on a thespian performance, and I don't want to do that anymore. You know, and so busting out of it's like sometimes you can go too far, you know, and that's part of it too. So this has to do with communication. And it's not, I think there's, it's not that somebody's lied, I think, in this pile. I think it's that there's cultural something getting in the way of the truth being expressed. But the truth finds ways of being expressed and of leaking out. And it can show up as like, I'm so emotionally affected that I'm such a gray rock because I don't know how to communicate my emotions or like whatever. Anyways, this has to do with deconstruction, cultural deconstruction, because the karmas that are showing up, it's funny because they're individual karmas. Like somebody here, they have their own individual karmas, but it's a cultural karma. Everybody involved in this culture has this karma. It shows up as an individual karma because you confront it on an individual level, but it's like a cultural karma. Does that make sense? When I get mad, I get silent. That's what Deborah just said. Yeah. And I used to be like that as well. Well, I'm still kind of like that. And in a way that helps me because it kind of does, like when I'm not on the live stream and I'm the one that's like only talking, you know, but like in my life, when I get mad, I get silent, or when I get hurt, I get silent. Because I just don't trust people. I'm so used to power games going on around me that I don't trust people. I don't trust that you're coming from a good place. Everybody is so polished. Like in my like Christian upbringing, everybody's taught to be a certain way. And by the time you're an adult, everybody's so polished with it that it's hard to see the truth because everybody's so refined in their like expressions. And it makes it hard to navigate, and it makes it hard for anything to move here. So anyway, I stonewall when I need to. I hate when it's used against me. Yes. I notice a lot of religious people don't go deep, and I guess I had a lot of irritation with their words and body language, and what's in their aura is not matching up. Yeah. Well, it's hard to go deep too when like your religion tells you what they expect of your behavior. So you just are taught to focus on that. Like it's not that your behavior should come from a healthy expression of what is deep. So there's no benefit. The culture teaches no benefit of going deep because it doesn't matter. They want you to be polite and shut up. Or if you're a man, they want you to be emotional and shut up. And to not have a real relationship with your wife or with women around you. That's what they want from you. So if you go deep and what's inside of you tells you something different, now you're an enemy to your culture. And maybe you should be. Maybe the culture is a hidden enemy, you know? But yeah, a lot of religious people do stay on the surface, but it's because they're taught that they have to be this like certain thing and then like stuff themselves into that shoe, regardless of whether it feels right or not. And they're not taught to like check that. And all of us, I feel like, have that. You know, a lot of us are like recovering in terms of like, you tried to work the religion, but it hurt too bad. Like you recognized that it was wrong, but you couldn't figure out why, and you had that crisis of faith. And I just heard you're being rewarded for it now. You're being rewarded for it now because it wasn't the truth. Something about it wasn't the truth, or it wasn't in alignment. It took an immense amount of courage and bravery to confront the lies that you were sold as truth. Oh my God, there it is. The people, 2 truths and a lie. So these people are trying to communicate with each other, but they're communicating through like their silence. He's communicating that like this culture, the culture is the enemy here. He's communicating, I have so many feelings for you, but as a man, I'm taught that I'm not supposed to have any feelings. Whether it's I'm deeply regretful for what I've done or I have actual feelings for you. But his silence is actually communicating that. With her silence is communicating, I don't fuck with what you did, and I don't think it's right or correct, and I don't want to be around it. Like, so it's 2 truths here, but I feel like they're actual soulmates, but they can't be together and they can't solve their problems because the culture has not given them the permission or the tools to. And the culture is the one that's lying. And so there's a cultural karma here. Deconstruction. I just keep coming back to deconstruction, which is an actual, like, there are therapists who specialize in deconstruction. I'm throwing that out there for people who help like you deconstruct your, they don't do it for you and tell you like what's right or wrong, but they guide you through the process of like questioning your religion. I just felt a squeeze again. Thank you. Like there's something here, but it felt like it came from, okay. So that felt like it came from like a therapist or somebody who does that kind of work that just like connected with me now. They're available like now. They're calling you in now. Like somebody's like doing that if you feel like you do need that help. But yeah, this is about deconstruction. 2 truths and a lie. And then also I'm getting that, like, why does he do that? Like inside the mind of like an angry man. Well, he's like not taught to express his emotions because if he could, that's like off-gassing and transmuting it. But the culture is the lie. Yeah. Okay. So that was pile number 3. And you know what it feels like too? Okay. Because I struggled with this one all this last week. Okay. To the point where I fell into some bad patterns, like with OCD, like where I was talking my throat raw, trying to get this out into a reading, but clearly it was supposed to come out in this pick a card. And I couldn't have like pieced it together about like the culture thing, that it's like the culture that needs to be addressed. So I feel like there's something here where it's like futile to talk about something until you understand that the culture is the lie and that you have to like deconstruct what this culture taught you and understand that it was about control. They taught you that because it's about control. And also I feel like they want marriages. This is just me. I haven't thought about this beforehand. I feel like they want marriages between people that don't have like actual feelings for each other because it doesn't threaten the church. Like love is a fierce energy. Remember I said Venus is fierce? It's like wrapped in the fire signs. Venus is a fierce energy. Can you imagine if a man would stick up for his wife to a priest, like in the face of his church? They don't want that. That's fierce. So they have to tell you, you are allegiant to the culture first. Love is such a powerful energy and it will break programming, and maybe it did here. because somebody here is so hurt that it's like they can't even say anything, and somebody here is so emotional but can't say anything. They're held back by the culture. So it's like you got to do the battle with the culture first. You got to deconstruct, and then the conversation here can be fruitful, because then he will have the emotions that he needs. He will understand that communication is not just about the words that you're saying. It's about the tone of voice. It's about the emotion that you do let show. And it's scary to do that, but it's brave to do that. That is what courage is. He's taught to be like a robot. He's taught to be a psychopath, is like the same as being masculine. And over here, she needs to be fierce in defending herself and saying what she believes is right and what she believes is wrong, which may actually not in fact be in alignment with the culture, because she might have to say, I don't agree with your behavior. And he's going to come back with, well, that's what I'm supposed to do. Well, I disagree with it. Well, you're evil because you don't agree with the culture. It's not going to be productive here. Keeps these two apart, actually. And it keeps forgiveness. Yeah. And I'm hearing that song, India RE. I think it's about forgiveness. Even if you don't love me anymore. Because these two don't know if each other loves each other. Because she's so beyond hurt that she can't even with him. And she thinks he's immoral. And she doesn't want to be around it. And he has to really do that deep dive. For him, he has to communicate his emotions. And he doesn't want to do that. She also thinks that she's pretty pissed. He doesn't know if she loves him anymore. So it has to get to this point of like, this is the right thing to do, even if you don't love me anymore. And that, I feel like, is what's gonna... I'm hearing from Frozen, like, love thaws. Love thaws. Instead of trying to do this weird little dance. Everybody's focus here is on trying to appease the culture and do this weird little dance. So in a weird way, like even like my weird little slip ups, it means that I am healing, even though it's like very unpolished and raw and unrefined. But I've never been that way before, because I was just taught. I was taught how to be refined in my Christian culture before I was ever taught who I was and that was important, and how to connect with myself and what do I like and what do I feel drawn to. And I think these two soulmates will find that they could have been drawn to each other because they thought that they shared the same culture. LOL to whatever the fuck he did to hurt her. That's what I'm saying, where there's like this red pill over to the religion, and this woman would be like, no, you don't represent our religion. But they actually like each other, like as people. The religion is actually getting in the way, or the culture, whatever the culture is, and like the cultural expectations, this is getting in the way. Okay, so anyways, that was pile number 3. My culture condemns marriage by love, even if they have the same beliefs and background. Wow. Absolutely all of what you just said. Every word, let's rise up. Yes. I told him today my heart was turning cold. Yeah. Maybe you were channeling their emotion. Yo, maybe I was. Oh yeah, because their emotion is like tamped down. And that is a facet here where he tries to provoke her emotion to express his emotion. Either like he's like, well, if you express this way, I can express that way. Or he makes her feel what he's feeling and she expresses it. And then women get called emotional, but really he's emotional. He's just not owning it, and he's not dealing with it as himself. And he's told that he's strong for doing that. So there's like a lot of lies I feel like this culture tells, but the one lie is the culture itself. So anyways, okay. So we're just going to take a little break from that. That was like hefty. But hefty where I live is like a brand of trash bags. I don't know if people have that other places in the world, because I forget that sometimes that we're like a worldwide community, like with the 2 truths and a lie thing. It didn't even cross my mind that some people hadn't played that as a kid, But like hefty is like a brand of trash bags where I'm from. And I just saw Spirit like holding this like hefty bag. It's big and it's like thick, so you can really load that up, We're taking out. Oh, okay. So that's what they're saying is like, if you deal directly with the culture, you take out a lot of bags, like a lot of baggage, a lot of junk. But if you just try to like, it won't work. Like when you guys are trying to butt heads here, this won't work. But if you understand that it's something here about the culture, that's when you're going to take out all this bag of garbage, all the like karmic bags of garbage individually, but like what has built up between the two of you. Because I literally just saw the culture, like there's a trash chute like right in between the two of you, and it just like drops its garbage like right in between the two of you. And you guys are like, where are you? Marco. And that's what it feels like. Yeah, where are you? I can't see you through all this baggage that we're like exposed to, that we're supposed to express. All right. Now, I'm going to put my lip gloss on. I got deep. I hope you guys forgive me for my angry outbursts. I'm not an angry person in my soul. I have angry feelings sometimes that I'm not always comfortable with. I have a stellium in Aries that I'm not always comfortable with. but it's there. And I feel like I could outdo men, which is why I think God put me in this tiny 5'4" body, because I would be a problem. If I was a half inch taller, I would be way more of a problem. That's just what I know about myself. That's just self-awareness. Don't make me 6 foot tall. Don't make me, because I would have no chill. I would have chill, but I definitely would be the person that. So there's something about that. Maybe that's for somebody too. Okay, bunny butt, bunny butt, bunny butt, bunny butt, bunny butt, bunny butt, bunny butt. Okay. I have a lot of fire and intensity, so you don't need to apologize. Being angry is natural. I agree. I just also want you guys to know that, like, I don't like it about myself. I just do it. Okay, so general messages. Thanks, guys, for being my community. That's what I'm telling you. This is how I know I'm on my path. Because the people that I was around before, like in meat space, would have expected me to be like a different way, to harming myself and stuff. But I feel like we're all kind of healing at the same time and in the same way. And anyway. That song, I'm hearing the India RE song again. She has 2 songs that I really, really like. One's called I Am Light. And the other one is this one, The Heart of the Matter. I've been trying to get down to the heart of the matter, but my will gets weak and my thoughts seem to scatter, but I think it's about forgiveness, even if you don't love me anymore. But that song, whenever I listen to that song, The Heart of the Matter, I picture like a whole slideshow of just like the human experience, you know, of people like standing in like in rubble, or like being born, or like the mixes of like the happiness and the sadness and the melancholy and like the journey that we all go through. And it's like, I think it's about forgiveness, because in forgiving other people, we forgive ourselves and we allow ourselves to be imperfect. And I think that's the thing that's been like the thread, like through all the readings, I've been like apologizing for my own behavior, because it's like, I'm dealing with things where I'm like, oh, I don't like this in you. And it brings out this thing in me. And it's like, if I can forgive you, I can forgive myself, you know? And, but it's hard to forgive people again, if they're not sorry, or if they are they're dancing around the issue and they're not even admitting that this was a mistake. They try to act like they're healing somebody. I didn't realize that the fire planets were anger. I thought passion and creativity. That might explain a few things. Well, yeah, they also rule over anger. Every planet, they have like high vibrational expressions and lower vibrational expressions, and anger isn't always low vibrational. Sometimes your anger is the only thing that's talking truth, you know? And it's telling you this is unequitable. This isn't fair. You know, like it's sometimes anger is a response to there being no justice, you know? I love this picture. There's like, it's like protest energy, you know, where, there was this was like 10 years ago, but there was this viral picture of this little girl, I think, tiny little toddler. She was on her dad's shoulders. They were at a protest, and she was holding up her own cardboard, and it just had like crayon scribbles all over it. And she was like, I'm here representing myself, you know? Sometimes our anger is like that, where it's like, I know this is unjust. Like, I'm just here expressing my emotions. Okay. So general messages, spirit. Oh, I'm grabbing the Tarot of Sexual Magic. Yeah. The Lovers. Okay, so there's some kind of lover situation here, and it's tempting, and I don't think there's no nudity on this one, but who knows what YouTube's going to have a problem with. But we'll just show you this, where it's like, actually, when you read the body language that I'm covering up entirely, see that girl to the side there that's like completely nude, the blonde one? His body language is like kind of all for her, but then there's this other lady here, and she's like really seductive, and she's like dressed up to the nines and everything, that's like pulling his attention away, and their Cupid is actually like hitting this other girl over here that's like hurt and like feels like very vulnerable or whatever. So there's something here about that, but it's building strength and like dealing with the boar, which I feel like the boars to me, you know, like they're dirty, they kind of run around in the dirt for things, but they're really ferocious. Like you do not want to come across a boar in the wild, and a lot of times where there's one, there's more than one. So this situation is building strength, internal strength. I feel like you've had to be confronted by lust, by temptation, by people's like boorish nature. Even me, you've had to sit through this with me, and I'm sorry, I lose my chill and I have no couth. But it's like you have to confront even my boorish nature to try to kind of look around and figure out, find your like little pearl of truth, your little gem of after Ardra. And then look, King of Pentacles, and I'm gonna hide her even though she's like, she is dressed, but who knows? It's the King of Pentacles. And so he's like extremely weirdly strong in that. And she's like hiding behind the pillar. So it's like, and yeah, but in order to be the King of Pentacles, and in order for this to like be healed, and King of Pentacles for me is Uttara Falguni energy, which came out in one of the piles. I don't remember which one, but it came out. In order to get that energy correct, there needs to be a shift in perspective here. And I think about the woman, like about female nature, whether you are a woman or not, I can't, it's pointless to show you the picture if I have to cover up her breasts because he's like right there. But it's the Hanged Man that I'm looking at. So it's like a difference in perspective, but he's staring like right at her like undercarriage, which is like vagine energy. So it's like rethinking what that is and like that energy, whether you are female or whether you deal with females, there's like there's a misunderstanding of the feminine energy. And isn't that the way that we like it? Because the feminine really is a very mysterious energy because the feminine is so creative and expressive and well-rounded. Thank you guys for the super chats, Andrea and Deborah. And also so many people gave me tips. I remember that there was one of the readings where like I was talking my throat raw and I was like, if you can toss me a couple bucks, and so many people did and said the nicest thing. Thank you guys so much for your tips. Those of you like that hit my tip jar this last week. I saw that and I appreciate it so much. But yeah, so yeah, there needs to be this like change in perspective in order for this King of Pentacles energy. Something has to change. There's definitely a karmic relationship and karmic patterns. And it does feel like it's around schmegs and around gender and around the feminine in particular. So this could be like internalized misogyny if you are a woman, which we all have. And it does come out from time to time. And again, like with me, you know, how I keep saying I'm sorry, like instead say thank you. You know, like where it's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But then like everybody's like, it's okay. We're all human. So instead say like, thank you. You know, thank you for holding space for me. Thank you for understanding that I'm a person. Thank you for bearing witness to like my own human journey, you know. But yeah, so something here is like something karmic needs to be let go of so that somebody can be, yeah, this is like, somebody can be, look, the Knight of Pentacles into the King of Pentacles. So he can like come and actually offer the fruit. Look at the fruit that he has built up because he's not in a karmic situation here, because this is a hot ass mess. Look behind in the Seven of Swords, sneaking around. It's very karmic. They've got a mess on the floor behind them and she has like a red string that's like all knotted up. It's a karmic relationship and it just, the whole thing looks gross and like nasty and uncomfortable. Yeah. And it's, yeah, it's just trying to maintain control and trying to maintain the old order of things will not work, which is telling me there is a soulmate connection here. And if you are the person that you've been infringing on two soulmates connections here because of a lack that you feel in yourself and you got to go find your own, this order has to change, but it's good. Like this is a good positive change. You're not going to lose from going through this death energy, regardless of where you are. You're not going to lose by going through this death energy. This is over with. This is done. And it is going, you might have to go through like a reparation period within your own self, getting right with Jesus or like getting right with God, getting right with Shiva, whoever, you know, getting yourself like correct with spirit and saying to spirit, I think first, like, I am sorry. I didn't live up to my own potential. And also I've hurt your creations because God loves every single one of us. God made every single one of us. So yeah, you're hurting God's sons and daughters out here if you're like engaging in this behavior. So say sorry. I'm sorry. Sometimes I think we think of God as being ours, you know, like God has an energy with you and it does. And that's healthy. But just know that like for some of you, you need to apologize to God for harming his son or his daughter. Like, and that's the way you should be thinking about God. Like, I know that's your child and I hurt that person. I can't imagine the position I put you in, trying to love me and trying to love them and trying to get me what I need and trying to get them what you need. I put you in a real bad position and I'm sorry. Like, you know, say those kinds of things. Like, you know, it's a part of like the healing and like feel those things and actually like work with those things and move that energy, you know, if that's the place that you've been in. But this, you can't win in the current structure. And some people in this dynamic, they're working so hard to hold on to control, to maintain their facade, to maintain their cultural programming. They're trying, that's not the way, because they think, oh, I can't win. But this is a spiritual paradox. Letting go of the ego. The ego can't win. And that's not the same thing as you not being able to win. The real you is about to win. But you got to throw your own ego under the bus. And that's spiritual healing. That's usually the start of it. You got to confront the ego. When the ego gets knocked down, it's going to try to get up again. But that's a win for you because it allows you to get in touch with something deeper. And that is like what, yeah, there's a judgment energy here. So, again, I keep apologizing for my ferocity, but I can tell that it's like something here is about like this judgment energy where I feel like maybe life is trying to very ferociously, not malevolently, but very ferociously and without a shadow of a doubt, especially for people here who have been clinging to like, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't make a mistake. Spirit's unearthing the judgment energy and saying, we got to go through a period of judgment here. We got to unearth the truth about the situation, which is that you in fact did do wrong, in order for us to turn this over. And there's some kind of, yeah, I feel like there could be like karmic ties here, like sexual relationships, even like children or something here, indulging in like the wrong things. Yes, there is that. That's the judgment energy is like being called up on that. And we've got to address the coldness, because I think somebody here could have, yeah, rather than like addressing some kind of coldness or something, they just like try to build somewhere else. It's very karmic energy, like not doing what it is that you need to do. There's a judgment here to unearth this, because this is going away. We're not doing this again. This is not continuing. This is over. Like this karmic energy is over, is what Spirit is saying. This devil energy is over. Because I feel like somebody here, it's like trying to have your cake and eat it too. Trying to coddle their devil energy and go towards their spiritual union. So for a lot of you, like, yeah, you are like twin flames, or you are like soulmates, you know, but it's like somebody here, like if you're going to protect your devil energy, which is maybe protecting a karmic and saying like, oh no, like we're just friends, they didn't mean to. No, don't do that. Stop. Like, why can't you just say we were wrong? You're in some fucked up energy. I was in some fucked up energy. And if we can have that conversation, then no, nobody should be protecting you. You should be in alignment with the truth. Somebody here is hurt. We hurt somebody over here. Don't you see that? A person that I happen to care about very much. Like, you know, and I'm given the wrong impression that I care about you more than I care about this person. And that's just not the reality. I'm just trying to protect my own ego. That's why I'm over here. So that's the truth is somebody is where they're at because they're just trying to protect their own ego. And they think they have an alliance with somebody, but they have an alliance with the devil energy within themselves, right? So I think I'm gonna have to put that there because, again, I'm feeling myself getting fired up. I don't really want to go back down that path. I think I'm demonstrating something here. Where it's like, I'm altering my behavior. I think Spirit is trying to just like highlight like this. It's not about being perfect. Sometimes we do things that we don't like. It causes us immense shame. And then as we start to heal more and more like closely in the moment, when we catch ourselves doing it, we catch it. And also, I didn't try to bury it. That's another thing that I feel like I demonstrated that they're like wanting me to highlight is I didn't try to bury it and be like, oh, I didn't do anything wrong there. When I did something that I felt like was wrong, I called myself out. And I was like, I don't like that I did that. I know it's okay. I know I'm within my own human element, but I still want to try to change my behavior because it's not who I want to be. And then now when I feel it rising back up again, I kind of caught onto it. And then like I'm distancing myself away from my behavior. And I'm like, okay, well, I think I'm just going to call it there because I'm trying to hold myself accountable and I'm not about to go down that road again. So I don't always do it as well as I'm doing it now. I'm not trying to say like, look at me, I'm perfect. But in these readings, I feel like I get some help from Spirit because they try to demonstrate things through me. And also what they're demonstrating is that communication is more than just the words that are coming out, because I said one thing, but then my actions are aligning with it. Where I'm like, I said that I was deeply ashamed and that I didn't like that. And I meant it because I'm saying it with my actions, where I'm like, no. And I'm also communicating certain things, like, I don't know, with my actions. But I feel like that's what Spirit is trying to say. Everything needs to be like cohesive and in alignment. And that's how we burn through our karma. That's how we learn our lessons. We develop different patterns of behavior. Because even though it's hard for me now to pull myself back and to say like, Jessica, you're feeling fired up and you're going to fire off at the mouth, honey. And if you like pull it back in just a little bit more, then that restriction is going to pay off, because it's just going to become like, and that notice the restriction comes from me. It doesn't come from culture, because I think that I should be able to express myself, but I'm trying to find a balance that feels good for me. So it's coming from internally inside of me. And I'm just going to keep doing that until it becomes second nature and until I embody the kind of energy that I want to embody. And that's the path that I'm on. And I'm going to have compassion for myself. But my compassion is not the same thing as co-signing every messed up thing that I do. And saying like, well, I messed up over here, but I got compassion. But I'm not calling out that I made a mistake. And I'm not saying what I'm going to do to change it. And I'm not demonstrating that I'm going to change it. See how this is a different energy? So I can hold compassion for myself, but it's not in lieu of me doing the work and me holding a certain ferocity, like with myself, because I know I'm capable of it. And I know that it always makes me feel bad when I don't live up to what I want to live up to in the moment. And it's just not something I want to risk. It's not something I want to risk. I kind of don't play with like who I want to be as a person. And that's how I'm going to clear my karma. And that's how I'm going to like pull myself back into alignment with Spirit. So hopefully that made sense. But yeah. Oh my gosh, Phoebe. Truly, I think of you in this group when I have felt weaker. I'm so glad. You guys hear that? She thinks about us. I think about you guys too. I really do. Cheers to not burying emotions. Yeah. And see how it's not about burying them, but it's like and that's the other thing too. Like you kind of realize I think it helps me to understand everybody feels like this. Everybody has done something that they feel ashamed of. So don't feel ashamed to just like kind of call yourself out in a healthy way. There are safer communities to do that in. There's people that I would never do that around because they are my enemies and they do secretly hate me and they would just try to like pile on and not be loving or compassionate. But there are certain people where it's like, if you just say like, whoops, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. And I didn't want to do that. That a lot of people know what you mean because a lot of people have, you know, slipped up. They had one too many eggnogs at the Christmas party and they really said what they felt about Aunt, you know, whoever over there. Like everybody knows. And it doesn't make you a bad person, but like there's a difference between feelings and like something congealing into like a personality structure or anything. Anyways, I hope that my actions spoke alongside my words there and you got the message of whatever it was. So let me just see if there's... Okay, there is somebody coming through that's feeling in their head about some kind of a wish fulfillment. And some kind of King of Wands. They don't know what to do because I feel like maybe there's a King of Wands that's involved. This could be somebody, maybe you guys have moved on. Or maybe this is because they should be a King of Wands, but they actually have been very cold. Because the Five of Swords energy, it's like Venus and Aquarius to me, which Aquarius is a very, very cold sign. Oh, and then Venus is like love energy. So they were very cold around their love energy and maybe like diffused in a group. Like somebody here is like up in their head. We've kind of been talking around this energy, but they are realizing that they should have been like warmer and like, ooh, look at this. Like, you know, lusty even, like warm, hot, emotional. Like that's hot. This isn't. Yeah. And somebody here's like moved on. Somebody here's like a wish fulfillment. Yeah, they're up in their head about it. Why is this coming through? Because I feel like we've already talked about this. Yeah, argument, somebody's blocked off here. I don't know. Maybe sometimes I feel like this is energy work where like because we're all talking about it and when we have our realizations, I feel like we're all connected like in the brain and the heart and the body of God. So I feel like, yeah, it's like something here starting to change. This person was up in their head about something and they went to somebody here who is this this Queen of Cups because they wanted to be like pat on the head. I don't know if this is a mother figure or if they went into like the trap. If this is a karmic, they went right into like this karmic's trap. This person who, it's that person that is a predator and that I thought was gross. It was the Five of Pentacles person from pile 2. This person's like up in their head about it. They feel shame. They did something here like in secret and this Queen of Cups did something in secret. Oh, it might have even been magic. Or there's like some kind of drinking or like love spell or something. Separated two people out and then tried to like temper something out. And they're seeing this differently. Somebody here is seeing this differently now. They're seeing like the heartbreak that they did as being different. They're seeing that they caused heartbreak, first of all, because I feel like they were in denial about that. I thought this person felt like they were a victim. This person broke your heart, stabbed it 3 times, and like by bringing a third party to try to control you, and then went and played victim to somebody else. I really feel like that's what went on here. And it was like a plan. And they were in control. Yeah, so somebody is realizing that. This is like all the energies that kind of came out in pile number 2. Oh my gosh, in pile number 2, I'm pretty sure I said that there was a connection here to the general messages. Didn't I say that? Wasn't that in pile number 2? And here it is. Yeah. And somebody here is like now has the keys, is the key keeper, is no longer, like whoever they ran to, this was like all a plan. They're no longer the Queen of Cups. They just played the Queen of Cups. They're this Queen of Pentacles, and look at her face. Yeah, and that's the man. The little bunny. So impotent, afraid. Yeah, and look, the lovers. I'm going to cover their bodies, but there's this, in this deck, the lovers card has a split between the two of them, and the snake is on the masculine side. So he's partnered with a snake, and I think for some of you, he mated with it as well. And brought a child in with the snake in the Garden of Eden. So yeah, and somebody else here is like blocked off, and it was not fair. And he has a lot of love and possibly like sneaking around here. He was sneaking around. Yeah, partying energy. So it's getting through. There's like some kind of shift in the energy here because we've just talked about all of this, and like now there's like some kind of like shift in the energy. And he, above all else, is a very weak man, and he needs to get away from this person who dominates him. This like predatory energy. That's step number 1. And I think it will take a lot of energy to get away from whoever that is that pretends to be the Queen of Cups, but it's actually very controlling. He's the bunny butt. Bunny butt. Bunny butt. Bunny butt. Oh my gosh, he's the bunny butt. I just got that. Because the rabbit. I think he is, because rabbits for me, for some reason, it's like they deal with psychology stuff. So I feel like he's learning a lot about psychology, but his own psychology. His own psychology and also the psychology of women, like these two women. And like, oh, like he's been so focused on like controlling things, people's psychology, but he didn't understand the psychology of women, is what I'm getting. And this particular woman that he's in the shadow of, because she's towering over him. But yeah, he didn't understand her psychology, that she was the Queen of Cups because she wanted something, and that she was actually a predator. Because it's kind of like the predator has become the prey here a bit, because he was trying to predator around you and potentially other people by controlling them. But this lady is the big predator, the big daddy. And it's like the shoe's on the other foot now. And so he's learning a lot about psychology. So anyways, I think I'm going to leave that there. I saw right away that he allows her to be manipulated by his friend. Interesting. I know who my rabbit is. I won't be fooled. I won't be fooled. Yes. Okay. So that was crazy. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like, my guides do this to me all the time. Where, like, notice I said in pile 2. I'm pretty sure I did. I'm pretty sure it was pile 2 where I was like, oh yeah, and this is connected to the bunny butt. And then this pile came out and it was connected back to pile number 2.
Yeah, people confirm that is true.
That it is true. Yeah, good. Because my guides do that to me all the time. Where they set me up for something and they're like, this is going to happen, and then it does happen. And they just show me that so that I know that I'm being like guided and assisted in some kind of way. Crazy. So also, I'm just going to remind you of this book because this was also a part of it. And I was very like divinely guided to get this. And when I got it, which wasn't too long ago, it was only $10. And it was like normally $20. Or maybe I should read this. Maybe I'll read this on a live stream. What if it's bad? What if I read the only good part in the book and it's like entirely boring? I don't know. Maybe if I feel so called, I will do a live stream. But don't hold me to that because it also might not happen.
I also mentioned, somebody in the chat actually called out that this book appears to be available for free on archive.org, like the Internet Archive. So anybody who wants to access it digitally, and somebody also mentioned that like that might be helpful if you don't necessarily, wouldn't be safe to have that around your home necessarily.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Because if you are genuinely around an angry and controlling man, it might not be safe to have something like this.
Yeah, but there's other means to get a hold of it like that. So.
Okay, archive.org.
Archive.org. The Internet Archive.
The Internet Archive. I'm so glad that people think about this. And also, it breaks my heart for us because I feel like women have had to do this from the beginning of time. Like, hiding things that they need. But, listen, you gotta do what you gotta do. So, anyway. Oh my gosh, yes, please read. Okay. He has some Christian Grey values. Yeah. Oh, Noir, thank you so much for helping us with the chat. To not be with angry controlling man. Yes. All right, digital will be good. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to get some food. I'm going to go for a walk. I am going to decompress. I had a hard week. We're done with the reading for those of you that want to like peace out, but I'm just going to vent here for a second. Like, not really vent, but I just been feeling kind of depressed. I don't know. Which is weird because like I just had a birthday and everything. And usually I'm so happy around my birthday and like the entire month of May. Cause I feel, I just love May. I just love the month of May. And, I just haven't felt that way. And it just sucks, man. It just sucks. I'm not really like a depressive kind of person, but man, like I just really been feeling it. You guys been feeling it? Are we okay? The book is also included in Spotify Premium.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, please check the chat. Me too. Yesterday was super hard. I hope there's nothing wrong going on in the chat.
I don't see anything wrong with it.
Okay. Cause somebody, and by the way, whoever did that on Patreon, somebody like flagged something as being inappropriate. Thank you for doing that. I'm a Gemini, yeah. I'm a cusp. I have a lot of Taurus energy, though. Because somebody was saying that I'm very earthy. And it is true, because I have a lot of Taurus in my chart as well. And I'm a cusper. But, all right, same. Okay, everybody's been feeling that way. Well, not everybody, but like a few of us. I mean, I guess anybody could be feeling that way. But, yeah, I just, you know, I've just been feeling like sad, not very hopeful about the future. You're a Cancer, but you have a lot of Plutonic and fire energy. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess I'm done here. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with me and for being my friends on the spiritual journey and stuff. But I'm going to go. I'm going to eat some food. and I'm gonna rest my voice because I can kind of hear that it's going. And thanks for all the super chats and for the tips for that one reading. And yeah, thank you so much. All right, bye guys.